Next on Saratoga Live, after back-to-back stakes wins, Guido tested deep waters at Royal Ascot. He returns battle-tested from across the pond in search of his first graded stakes win. Raging Bull will be waiting for him in the Hall of Fame Stakes after 2 straight wins to start his career. A wide trip last out may have cost him in his stakes debut. Grade 1 winner at 2, 3, and at 4. Heavenly Prize takes her place in horse racing's Hall of Fame. We'll hear from her trainer, Shug McGahee, and all the latest from today's ceremonies across the street from the racetrack. In the greatest single season in horse racing history, we'll introduce you to the man out to educate the world on a horse whose best year is in a class all by itself. All that and more coming up on this Friday edition of Saratoga Live. It is presented by Claiborne Farm, 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. Great to have you with us. There's a look at Rajiv Mirage. He just won the last race before we came on the air. In a very tough jockey colony, maybe the toughest in the entire country. Wins at a premium here for everybody involved at the premier race meet in the entire country. Our feature race on the turf this afternoon. Greg Wolf alongside former New York Met, LA Dodger Paul Atuka, one of the top trainers in the country. Just ran third in the Haskell Invitational with Lone Sailor Tom Amos. Very excited about this race we have in the Hall of Fame on the turf coming up. Guido went across the pond, ran against 22 other rivals in that race. Actually started his career, though, as a sprinter. He's gone up to a mile. They're going to stretch him out a little more today as he comes back to the U.S.
I think maybe he surprised the connections a little bit. He ran darn good. To run 6th in that kind of race, he was 40-1. His other races here, Tom, his other 5 races, he was the favorite in all of them except 2, and he's been pretty much an honest horse and right there, and he's very tactical, and he ran that way at Ascot. The worry's going to be now they're wheeling him back pretty quick off a long trip.
Right, the trip over there and back, these are not machines, you know, so it's not always easy to do that. You're watching him right there. Tends to carry his head a little high when he runs. This stretch out in distance, maybe the combination of those two things, the trip and the stretch out, could be his undoing.
He had never been worse than second in 5 career starts until he went across the pond. Did, to some, though, as Paul mentioned, run a lot better than many expected. So we'll see how he fares in the return. You could bet all the races that we show you each and every day here on the show on Saratoga Live all summer long by opening an Ira Bets account. Free to sign up. Enter the promo code Saratoga Live. Bet $200 and you'll get $200 in your account as a new member bonus. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Again, use that promo code Saratoga Live to get involved. Let's meet the rest of our team and head downstairs to the paddock with New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Serling and Gabby Gaudet.
Thanks a lot, Greg. Well, little rain never spoiled a day here, and actually we've been kind of lucky. It's not that bad out. Sun was out a few minutes ago. A terrific running of the National Museum of Racing Hall of Fame today, and Guido might be favored in here. I will be shocked if he wins this race. Personally, I think Raging Bull is the best horse in this race. Now, you never know if they will handle the going, and obviously there's some give in the ground, Gabby, but he ran remarkably well, Raging Bull, behind a dawdling pace last time, and in my opinion, he's the best horse in the race, and he's going to win.
Okay, well, I do think that he potentially is the best horse in the race, and he looks like a horse that will not have a problem with this added distance. Talking about his Manila, and even in this race, as you mentioned, it was a dawdling pace in front of him. The winner up the ante was more forwardly placed in here. He had that disadvantage. But even his race prior to Andy, I thought that was one of his most impressive performances because there was no pace and he was the only one who was closing.
No, I completely agree with you. He was the only one that closed, and he did it in a day when that was Belmont Stakes weekend when you wanted to be towards the inside, and he made a wide run. I'd argue, Gabby, every race he's run has been good. I think he's the one to beat, and I think Guido is going to have to deal with the rail, Monitor as a speed horse, and I don't know that he's a 1:16 two-turn horse coming back 6 weeks from being at Royal Ascot.
It's a lot to ask, for sure. And on top of that, we obviously have had a lot of moisture throughout the afternoon. Raging Bull, he's proven he can handle a turf with moisture, and he's got that Irish pedigree to suggest so, too.
We'll see if that works out. We'll see what Maggie Wolfendale's thinking as we head out to her in the paddock.
Well, guys, I'm actually thinking about the race before, and it's a good A other than going a mile and an eighth over this main track. And it's kind of a matchup between horses who have only broken their maiden versus an old New York bred veteran, as we'll talk about the ones that are lightly raised. Proven Reserves, horse trainer Chad Brown, is only making the third start of his career. He won first time out, I thought very impressively, back at Aqueduct, going a mile. That's a lot to ask a horse at first asking. So Proven Reserves, he did beat Weather Whiz that day, who then came back and won. We'll see how he deals with the mile and an eighth, and also with the 6-time winner in Uncle Si. Uncle Si is one of those New York breds who has been claimed, who shows up every time he runs, no matter whose tutelage he is under. And he's a pretty cool horse here, Greg, that you have to have respect, as he'll make his 31st start in today's 8th race. Greg?
Yeah, he's the old man of that 8th race coming up. We got New York breds kind of taking center stage this weekend in that 8th race today. Uncle Si, who's earned over $500,000. And, of course, in the Whitney coming up this weekend, it's actually believed to be, for the first time ever, 2 New York breds who were the top 2 choices in the morning line in that race.
Yeah, Diversify and Mind Your Biscuits. One that's going to be going straight to the front. One's going to be trying to stretch out his, I guess, closing sprinting brilliance, trying to go long, which is always tough to do.
It's very tough to do. Look, sprinters like the ability in one-turn races of only having to slow down the turn once when they run. 2-turn races, it's a matter of physics. You can't go as fast on the turns as you can go in straightaways. Sprinters don't like to slow down twice as you have to in a 2-turn race. Mind Your Biscuits, we're going to find out if he can handle that kind of circumference of 2 turns as opposed to the success he's had going 1 turn.
Plenty more coverage in previewing the Whitney to come in the show. Right now, weather and track conditions presented by Piranha Fly Spray, the preferred fly spray of the Saratoga Racecourse. Piranha on, pest gone. We've just been upgraded to muddy. Turf listed as good for today's racing. And, of course, that feature race, the Hall of Fame, on the turf in race 9. The races we have for you this afternoon comprise the late pick 4. A quick little preview there of Paul LaDuca's pick 4. You're going to talk us through it here in a moment. We start with the maiden special weight at a mile and an eighth. The 8th race on the main track as well, entry-level allowance. That's the race where the old New York bred Uncle Si will line up against Proven Reserves and Weather Whiz that Maggie was talking about. Our feature, the Grade 2 Hall of Fame. Raging Bull and Guido going head-to-head. And we'll close things out on the 10th on the main track. Sprinting at 6.5 furlongs. $20,000 claiming event. The late pick 4 begins in this race right here. A maiden special weight at a mile and an eighth. And war value right now. Start number 3. First time on the main track, though, for Todd Pletcher, current favorite.
Bit of a surprise. War Value's never run on the dirt before. 2 starts on the grass, making that switch. This barn is very good at knowing what distance to run and what surface to run on, but the pedigree is questionable for dirt.
Yeah, it is. And you have the one, sort of a similar horse with 2 more starts, whether that horse is going to take the dirt to the dirt. And when you get to my pick 4 ticket, I actually thought the 1 would be favored in here over the 2 at least. I think the 6 is the horse to beat because the 6 has got proven dirt form. I think the next 2 races are really, really tough. They are. Uncle Si. The next race, if you could find one horse that doesn't have a great wet pedigree, tell me, because it's unbelievable. They all run well on a wet track. I have a feeling the Hall of Fame, there might be some chaos with all the rain we got, and we could see maybe a crooked result in there. I just think the 9 in race number 10, Regalion's the horse to beat. On the drop, a reclaim. I always like a reclaim, and they can get out with the purses here at Saratoga with the drop.
Paul LaDuca playing Get Me to the Nightcap in the pick 4. We'll see what happens with that 9 horse. Got to get us there, though. Today's 9th, the National Museum of Racing Hall of Fame Stakes. Use the Naira Bets app and you can hit the trifecta for a 10% winner's bonus. Naira Bets offers a trifecta bonus on a selected stake race every single day of the Saratoga meet. Visit nairabets.com for the full schedule. We're going to take a break in the action. We'll be back kicking off the late pick 4 when we return on Saratoga Live.
Grade 1 winner Data Link by world-renowned sire Warfront. Data Link scored in the prestigious Grade 1 Makers 46 mile at Keeneland, then set a new course record in the Grade 2 Monmouth Stakes. His runners include stakes winner Saratoga, along with a growing list of talented young runners. At public auction, his yearlings have sold up to $200,000. Data Link, standing at Claiborne Park.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates.
Off the turn with a link to the half lead.
Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200.
The dramatic finish.
Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
His record-breaking accomplishments on the racetrack paved his way here to the Stall of Legends. Now retired to stud, we welcome the dawning of a new era as this esteemed champion hopes to stake his claim to immortality. His blazing speed and striking good looks have been passed down to his remarkable first foals. Foals that will carry the flag of their famous father and one day hope to break records of their own. Medication-free and undefeated in sprint competition. Run happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Success starts at Saratoga. The Saratoga Selected Yearling Sale has established a reputation for high quality and high performance. Recent graduates include Grade 1 winners Avenge, Bolt d'Oro, and Moonshine Memories, and 2017 Breeders' Cup champions Battle of Midway, Stormy Liberal, and Rushing Fall. The nation's #1 sale by percentage of Grade 1 winners, the Fasig-Tipton Saratoga Sale, August 6th and 7th.
We found Breeders' Cup champion Rushing Fall at Saratoga. Where will you be?
Welcome back. You are watching Saratoga Live as the horses are set and ready for today's 7th race. That means it's time for a paddock report here, brought to you by Hillendale Farms. Standing Curlin for $150,000, and that's exactly who we're going to start things off with. One of his daughters, and that is #1 Anne Dupree in here for trainer Jonathan Thomas. She is one of 2 horses that are going from turf to dirt here, and I'm sure Connections pleased to see the fact that we've had some rain, and thus the track is now labeled as muddy. So she looks like a horse that would love some moisture in the main track for her first try over it. Very slighter, kind of even frame on her, and I like what I'm seeing from her as she is sharp as well. #2 is War Value, who is taking a good bit of money here for trainer Todd Pletcher. Look, there's nothing about her physically that says that she won't be able to handle the going here. We'll see. I do prefer Anne Dupree a bit over her from the overall standpoint. Now making her second start and getting a bit of that facelift, getting blinkers and Lasix, is #3 Bazooka Girl, who was green and unfit for her debut. And I just think she's a lot more settled, a lot more focused. She's a lot tighter here as far as her fitness is concerned. And I do think that we'll see a better showing from her, as it does seem as though her trainer, Jimmy Jerkins, is intent on getting more distance into her as well. Greg?
She's intriguing, the 3 in here. Daughter of Awesome Again, who was a 1998 Whitney winner. Of course, the Whitney coming up on Saturday, but she took money in that first out effort at a mile at Belmont back in late June.
Yeah, she did. She was a tiny bit under 5-1. A lot of these horses did. The 1 was 2.5-1 first time out. The 2 was favored first time out. The 6 was the only one that, regardless, 20-1, maybe in a tougher field, but it's taken some money too in his last recent starts.
Yeah, going back to the 3, Bazooka Girl, a horse that really, I think, is going to try and send from the gate. Just was uninterested first time out. Blinkers and Lasix, I think, makes a big difference today.
Sam the Bugler with a call to post. And here comes our post parade for race 7, kicking off this late pick 4. Javier Castellano riding for trainer Jonathan Thomas. Of course, campaign's Catholic boy could be going to the Travers. Here's Anne Dupree.
Yeah, look, started 4 times on the grass every time. First time dirt. There is dirt in the pedigree and a live horse in this spot.
That one a 2016 Phasic Tipton August sale graduate as well. The 2 War Value, son of War Front for trainer Todd Pletcher. Manny Franco rides.
Well, 2 races for this filly on the turf have not worked out, so they're going to try the main track and go in a little bit longer today.
Bazooka Girl, we were just talking about. Start number 2 for trainer Jimmy Jerkins, and the leading rider at the meet. Bit of a surprise right now. Luis Saez aboard.
Blinkers on, first-time Lasix. Did not break well in her first start. I think they get after her today, and they try to go right from the beginning.
In the Stronach Stable Silks, making start number 2. Wow, and great job by Luis Saez. Had to hop off there and able to hold up. Or sorry, Luis Reyes on Affogato, the first-time starter, acting up a little bit. This one trained by Tom Albertrani.
Yeah, this one in the Godolphin Blue, like you said, was just a phenomenal pedigree. And just maybe she's filling her oats. Maybe she's liking the mud a little bit, but never want to see her overreact a little.
We Are Family rounds out the field here. This one trained by Michelle Nevin, and John Velasquez rides.
For all you Pittsburgh Pirate fans way back in the day, this is the horse to beat for Johnny Velasquez and Michelle Nevin. And the pedigree suggests this horse should love the mud.
And that, as should be, your 2-to-1 favorite right now, with the experience those last couple of starts on the main track, most recently at Belmont. Let's backtrack a bit here, get a look here again at War Value, the daughter of Warfront for Todd Pletcher. Dirt debut.
Yeah, you know, listen, Warfront can do anything, his progeny, so I wouldn't be surprised if this filly moves forward for familiar silks that have been in the Kentucky Derby winner circle.
Yeah, St. Elias Stable, Vinny Viola. Of course, campaigned Always Dreaming. Let's check in with Maggie Wolfendale for more.
And here in the paddock, Greg, joined by Eclipse Thoroughbred Partners President Aaron Wellman. And Aaron, you guys will send out the inside runner and Anne Dupree. Given the fact she's a daughter of Curlin, I'm sure you were happy to see the skies open up earlier today.
Yeah, we weren't complaining, and it's something that we had hoped for. Usually don't hope for rain or, you know, an off track, but in this case, we were thinking that she would like the slop, and hopefully she proves us right.
And I mean, given she's run on turf in all of her starts so far, what was behind this decision to move her to the main track?
You know, just trying to weigh options, really. Here at Saratoga, it's so hard to win races, as you know, and, you know, the maiden special might be a tick above her here on the grass, and there was a maiden 75 that was a huge field, and we just thought, you know, if we're going to dip, let's dip with confidence. And then this dirt race came up, and there were only 5 in there, and we made 6. So we thought, let's give it a shot.
Now, with the scratch, there is only 5. So, Aaron, her trainer, Jonathan Thomas, has been on his own for about 3 years now, but you've been with him from the get-go.
Yeah, guilty as charged. I was probably responsible for sort of persuading him to run some horses off of Bridlewood Farm, mostly starting with just sort of, you know, resuscitation projects and stuff like that, horses that were coming off of injury that needed a little softer company, maybe at Tampa during the winter, something like that. And it just sort of took off. And Jonathan is just such a phenomenal horseman that the results started speaking for themselves. And the other owners that were, you know, giving him horses to break or train or rehab at Bridlewood caught on. And, you know, I'm really proud of him for what he's accomplished. He deserves it, and he's got some great backing right now, and he's delivering the goods.
And Jonathan, a previous assistant to Todd Pletcher, who you will send out Taproot with quickly for the Whitney. What can we expect from him trying to get back on track for his 3rd start of this year?
Yeah, get back on track is the right way to put it. You know, he's had 2 races since he's come back this year. His first race, we thought he ran Dynamite, needed it, going a little bit shorter than he really prefers, a flat mile. Then in the Suburban, it was just a messy race. You know, I don't think anybody was beating Diversify on the day. We do think with a little bit different trip, he might have been a little bit closer to him at the wire. But, you know, I'd be lying to you if I didn't say that the connections weren't disappointed with the result. And, you know, he's trained better than ever, but it hasn't translated into better results this season. So we're going in with guarded optimism that he's going to show up in the big way tomorrow. He's drawn inside, which is a positive for us because he's a weird horse in that the more he's got around him, the more.
Interesting race, Gabby. You know, I wouldn't want to say there's anyone here that can't win it. And that even includes the 3 Bazooka Girl who ducked in badly at the start and lost all chance, though we don't know if she can run it all. But in general, when you've got 3 at short prices, and 2 of them have only been meant to run on the turf, I just feel like you're supposed to stay away from the turf horses. And Ann Dupree, you hear Aaron Wellman talking about her. They didn't run her on the turf because she was working gangbusters on the dirt. He didn't sound overly confident. Sounds like maybe the slop will help, but I'm not betting her.
And sometimes we see, the connections really want to get a maiden special weight victory out of their horses. So they have a tendency, slow horses run better races on the turf, and that's what it is. And maybe that could be the case with both the 2 and the 1. War Value, on top of that, Andy, her last race, I didn't think was very strong. And if people are even betting her off of that race and thinking that she's coming out of maiden special weight company, then I think it's kind of smoke and mirrors on top of that.
I could not agree more. And it's that case of turf racing where they're not going to lose by that many lengths. Just didn't do that much running in there and in War Value. And Todd Pletcher, she was highly touted as a turf horse. It didn't pan out, and now she's going to be a dirt horse. We did mention already, and we talked about Ann Dupree, starts her career at Tampa. No, she's run okay in her races, and Galileo's Melody. Jockey's off the 4 again, a horse that seems to be a little obstreperous out there. We talked about Ann Dupree. We'll move on to Affogato for a second. Jockey's off this one. Listen, horse has a pedigree to go long.
Yeah, the saddle might have slipped a little bit when the rider fell off in the post parade. So he did a good job, Luis Reyes, to hang on to the 4, and now they're just making a little minor adjustment here.
The only horse who's done any...
Hold on, let me mention the one, because I did pick the 1, and Ann Dupree, and, she is a very lightly framed type of filly, and I did kind of like that about her last time out over the soft going because they kind of have a tendency to skip along the top of the surface. The winner, Galileo's Melody, was a horse for Graham Motion who had a wet turf pedigree that you would die for.
She's on Monday, I think. It was Monday's races, I think. She's on Monday's card here.
But I actually think that she'll kind of take a liking to the slop, not only from her pedigree, but from her frame. And that's what I like about her in this race.
I prefer her the 2 of the turf horses, Gab, but I'm not thrilled with either one of them. We Are Family, the 6. At the end of the day, I picked We Are Family because she's the only dirt horse in the race. And that's enough for me. And, 9 to 5, frankly, she's no killer, but she's the dirt horse. Maybe the others can't handle it, guys.
Well, we're going to find out. There's a lot of question marks coming up in this race, and the off-track has just thrown a bigger wrench into things as well with now this compact field of 4.
It is indeed. Go back to the 1 horse, Ann Dupree. If you look at that form, Paul, Lasix in her first start. They didn't run her with Lasix her next 2 starts, and then most recently back on Lasix. Those are good efforts. The last one in particular, I think, along with when you look at Jonathan Thomas's percentage going from turf to dirt. I know it's a small sample, but he knows how to do it, and he's very good at winning with those type of horses. That puts her in a good spot. Look, the race, as far as it sets up, if We Are Family goes to the front, is left alone in the front, she's just going to stay there and win.
Yeah.
But I do think Bazooka Girl is going to try to keep her company, the 3 horse, for Jim Jerkins.
Well, somebody has to. I mean, when you look at Ann Dupree, Tom makes a good point, as in, debuted with Lasix. Now they tinker with blinkers. Blinkers has obviously helped this filly a ton and has improved her speed. And when you're on the inside, you've never had any dirt kick back in your face, you want to be in front. Now, whether Johnny V wants to make that very difficult on the 6 and try to send, this horse was in some fast fractions. And since they've added the blinkers to her, she's gotten a little faster early.
As a trainer, how big a concern is that? Some of these horses never been on a track like this, kind of getting that slop kicked back in your face.
So you can't simulate it in the mornings because you don't get in situations with enough horses where that happens. You can try to do it with 2 or 3 horses, but you just can't put a field together. So it's a problem when you're racing 2-year-olds and trying to figure out will they handle that and how professional they'll be. And it's a problem with horses that have only been on the grass and are moving to the dirt. And that's the case with the 1 Ann Dupree. It's the case with the 2 War Value.
There again, a look at Ann Dupree. Maggie Wolfendale was interviewing Aaron Wellman. He was instrumental in the success of trainer Jonathan Thomas, who trains this horse, kind of getting him started. And Jonathan Thomas mentioned also Chad Brown, Eclipse Award-winning trainer, was a big help in kind of getting him going.
So think about that. You got 2 Hall of Famers, or one about to be Hall of Famer as soon as he's eligible.
Yeah.
That's the right way to come up. Look, when you were playing ball, I'm sure you had some great instructors along the way that taught you how to put it over the fence.
Listen, I tell people this all the time. People always ask, who was your mentor? Mike Sosha was my mentor, but my game was constructed of 20 other mentors. What I always tell kids or young riders is, hey, put a thought in your mind, or somebody puts a thought in your mind that you respect. try it. If it doesn't work for you, let it go out of your mind. But sometimes it does work for you. And for me, like 10 different coaches really impacted me. I could never, thank them all. But Mike was my mentor. And a lot of these guys have their mentor, but they also have a lot of other guys that have helped them along the way.
And we saw Jonathan Thomas, trainer of the 1, and Dupree get his first victory at Saratoga last summer. And he got his first grade 1 with Catholic Boy, who is being pointed to the Travers again, even though he's been so brilliant with back-to-back wins on the turf over the highly regarded Analyze It over the last couple of performances. 5-2 on Ann Dupree. And here, look at this board. 4 horses between 9-5 or 4-1, and then that first-time starter at 11-1 who's been acting up a little bit, the 4-horse.
Yeah, but when you look at what the 4-horse has been doing, I wouldn't be overly concerned with that. She's held her composure. I think Gabby's exactly right. That saddle slipped a little bit when she reared up. She reared up when she went with the pony. She's never been with a pony before in the afternoons for a race. She settled right back down. I wouldn't hold that against her.
Yeah, but debuting at 1 1/8, when you think she's probably going to be pretty slow out of the gate?
Oh, yeah. I think she's going to probably need the race, but I'm just saying I wouldn't hold her behavior against her if you liked her in the betting windows.
565,000 plus in the pick 4 pool. Still time to get your wagers in. Race 7 here on this Friday at Saratoga. Kicks it off, the 9-5 favorite. We Are Family, the 6-horse for Michelle Nevin. Let's send it upstairs to the voice of New York Racing for the call, Larry Colmus.
And here's the first-time starter moving in, Affogato, into the starting gate. And now the 8-5 current choice, We Are Family, and John Velasquez up to the outside stall will complete the line. 8-5 on We Are Family right now, who steps forward and in. And they're all in line. They're off. Bazooka Girl missed the break. It is War Value who fires out to the front. And Dupree is away running in second, and We Are Family is third. Affogato fourth in the early stages here, some 5 lengths off the lead. And Bazooka Girl, who did not start well, is now gone by Affogato and takes fourth, and is now 5 lengths off of pace-setting War Value. Manny Franco and War Value out there by 3/4 of a length. On the inside, and Dupree is second. We Are Family is third. And the pace is very fast here. A 23.16 opening quarter mile. Break of another 4 to Bazooka Girl. And Affogato is last up the backstretch. 6 furlongs to run. War Value to catch. War Value on top by 1.5 lengths up the backstretch. And Dupree tracks in second. We Are Family third as they roll right along now. We Are Family is a good 4 lengths off the lead, having lost a bit of ground here. Bazooka Girl is next, and Affogato trails to a 46.35. Sharp half mile. There's a half mile to go. War Value on top by 3 as they move into the far turn. Manny Franco and War Value throw down the gauntlet here. They've opened up a 4-length lead on the far turn. And Dupree is running along in second. We Are Family asked to run on the outside third. And it's a long way back to Bazooka Girl and Affogato. It is War Value coming to the top of the stretch in front, 3/4, 111.24. And they're into the stretch, and it is War Value off the turn in front by 5. And Dupree is second on the inside. We Are Family third. The other 2 are far behind as they come to the 8th pole. War Value is all by herself. War Value down to the 16th pole. 9-10 lengths in front. And it's going to be War Value to win it here. It was never in doubt. We Are Family second, and Dupree third, and then Bazooka Girl in 152.99.
The daughter of Claiborne Stallion, Warfront. War Value gets the win there as trainer Todd Pletcher. And Manny Franco, it was as he pleased out of the gate. You saw him kind of looking over to see if he had room into that first turn to get to the front, and just kept on going.
Yeah, you're right. The race was over right out of the get-go because you could tell that the 1 and the 6 were just trying in the backside to keep up. Now, they were crawling home, but I mean, the horse was just too far out in front.
Yeah, look, I mean, if you can win the race in the first half of a mile, who cares how slow you come home at the end of the race? And that was a slow finishing up time for sure. But on War Value, Manny Franco goes to the lead, runs them off their feet. Javier Castellano's rarely in a bad position. He had to check down the backside behind War Value. I don't know if they'll look at that or not, but War Value, much the best of this group of 5.
5-2, third choice on the board, Manny Franco. Intent on getting to the front. on this wet racetrack, and no one able to make up any ground on this horse in the stretch. And certainly it was a crawl fest home, but he crawled home the fastest.
Well, that's what happens.
She
You know, a lot of these horses, obviously, or none of them have gone the mile and an eighth. And what does he do? Okay, come play Catch Me If You Can, because I know that none of you have gone this distance. A couple of you are turf horses, so you might not even have the bottom. And who ended up running second to sixth by default because the horse had good dirt races.
Yeah, and I mean, that was the game plan right out of the gate with War Value. Manny Franco was riding and showing the horse his stick. He wanted to get to the front, and he set a blazing opening quarter, but that was, again, the game plan.
So 5-2 on War Value here, St. Elias Stable. MeBB Racing Stables, trainer Todd Pletcher and Manny Franco picking up his second winner this afternoon. There's Todd Pletcher in the winner's circle. And War Value, career start number 3. First time on dirt, though. Gets the maiden breaking score. And, of course, she is a daughter of this sire here, now standing at Claiborne Farm. Warfront International Super Sire of 8 champions and 7 millionaires, including European 2-year-old champion U.S. Navy flag. Roly-poly. Some real good ones. Yearlings have sold up to $1.9 million in each of the last 2 years. And we expect our reigning title holder here in the trainer category, Todd Pletcher, to have another outstanding meet, and that's been the case.
Yeah, it has been. He's had a couple of times where he's had a couple of second-itis, then you look down and he's still 25%. It's almost like one of those guys that can just roll out of bed and just have horses get into the winner's circle. This is one of the easiest wins you'll see so far. And I think this horse will play a little bit bigger value, too. Like you were talking about, Daughter Warfront at the AP Indy Mare value stream. Now 1 for 3 lifetime. And that double's not bad, about $38 or $39 and change for $2.
Yeah, this group rarely picks a bad spot in terms of distance or surface, and trust them, and you get $750 for your $2 win.
2-6-1 finish here in race 7. Manny Franco, couple of wins this afternoon. He is now into double digits. He was tied for 3rd at the Belmont meeting. So he came into this meet here at Saratoga with some nice momentum, and he has certainly kept it going.
Well, he really has. Him and Luis Saez have been just dynamic. It seems like Luis Saez has been the guy that's been taking the horses up front, and Manuel Franco has been the guy that's been like weaving in and out of traffic and giving some great rides. And here is the late pick 5 follow along for the Naira Bets, and Miss Mystique came from off the pace. I think that horse will pay a little bit bigger, and I think War Value will play a little bit bigger.
Send it downstairs to Maggie Wolfendale.
Here with trainer Todd Pletcher. And as far as War Value is concerned, Todd, Manny just bottoming out the field.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to get away from the gate cleanly. You know, we felt like she seemed like she came up a little bit one pace in her turf races, so we felt like switching her to the dirt, you know, which she's always trained pretty well on. But sloppy track, we don't want to take any chances. Go ahead and, you know, try to get good position the first turn, and she kind of ran them off their feet from there.
And looking to keep things rolling, obviously, into the next race and the one after that in the Hall of Fame with Jiddu coming back. As far as coming back from Ascot, are there things that you have to be leery of? How do you kind of get a horse to recover after that kind of long trip?
You know, it's not as long a trip maybe as everyone thinks. You know, it's similar to going to California and back maybe, or just a little bit further. But, I mean, you just do the obvious things and common sense things and monitor how his energy level is, how his appetite is, those type of things. He came back in great shape. He's never missed a beat since he's come back. My biggest concern today is there's just might be a little more cut in the ground than he likes. Never been on ground quite this soft, but, you know, we'll see.
What about the mile?
I don't think that's any problem as long as he settles a little bit the first part. One other speed in there, so it's going to just kind of be if he'll settle, but more concerned about the ground than him settling.
All right, well, certainly wasn't a concern for War Value today. Todd, congrats here.
Thank you.
All right, Greg, War Value all the way on the front end.
Absolutely. It was just a game of get to the front, and War Value got there and just kept on going. Of course, Todd Pletcher will send out Murad and Guidu coming up in our feature race in the Grade 2 Hall of Fame. Pick 5, the Naira Bets late pick 5. We say it all the time. Tremendous value. And a look at what happened just yesterday. The late pick 5 returned $1,596. The pick 4, just $206. The only difference in there was Super Echo in the first leg of the Naira Bets late pick 5, who was 3-1.
It just shows you the value that you're getting. And when it comes to pick 5, a lot of people don't like to single in that first leg, or even in the last leg. There was 3 winning favorites in that sequence.
Well, this happens tomorrow. We're going to up the ante a little bit. The Naira Bets late pick 5 gets a huge single ticket payout increase for Whitney Day to $500,000. If the only winning ticket in the Naira Bets late pick 5 on Whitney Day, a minimum of $500,000 is coming your way. It is for Naira Bets customers only. Get signed up, get started. It is the only way to play that Naira Bets late pick 5 and be eligible for that $500,000 single ticket payout. We're going to take a break in the action. Still ahead, a man on a crusade to let the world know just how great Dr. Fager in his 1968 season truly was.
So I began to root for him and evaluate him. And I didn't know quite what he was in 1968. And I began to get enraged at the distortions that were made.
Switches back to the outside. Exaggerator down to the 16th pole, but Exaggerator has turned the tables. He has won the Preakness. He has won the Travers over American flag. Irish War Cry has won the Wood Memorial. Alice.
Good Magic's gonna win his first race, and he's gonna do it as the Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
They come spinning out of the turn. Dr. Fager a short lead. 100 yards to come, and Dr. Fager is all by himself. 8, 9, Dr. Fager by about 10 lengths. Wow. And ladies and gentlemen, may we draw your attention to the running time. The mile in 1:32 and 1, which is a new world record.
Phil Georgieff on the call there, and that is an American record for a mile on the dirt that still stands to this day, the 1968 Washington Handicap. Dr. Fager carried 134 pounds. He won by 10 lengths without any urging from jockey Braulio Baeza.
Did you say 134 pounds?
That's it.
132 and change for the mile, for the one-turn mile. I mean, it's like Pete Maravich's records in college basketball. They'll never be broken. I mean, this horse, I didn't know a lot about him. I always thought the Spectacular Bid never got his just due as one of the great horses of all time. I learned about Dr. Fager. I've changed my mind. It's Dr. Fager. Simple.
Yeah, I mean, true speed. And if you go down his stud line and his pedigree line, he has produced that speed into his progeny. I mean, you look at some of his races from 7/8 all the way to 1 1/8 miles to 1 1/4 miles. The brilliance that he had, and that year that he had was amazing.
Easy goer. He came close in the Gotham. Najran came close in the Grade 3 Westchester one year. No one's equaled it.
Like the two
stands
horses,
alone.
I think the two. You want to know how brilliant he is? The two horses that beat him were Damascus and Buckpasser, by the way.
Those are familiar names.
Yeah,
those are household names.
You think?
Right?
Yeah, right.
And look, back then they weren't speeding up the tracks on big days to get the best times
That's a good point.
possible. You know, this horse did it.
Yeah.
He's the man.
Well, that performance in the Washington Park Handicap was just part of a campaign put together back in 1968 by Dr. Fager that the man we're about to introduce you to right now has made his crusade to prove to historians that it is the greatest single-season campaign in the history of horse racing.
Sports is the national narcotic. And if some crazy vendor got on a national show and proved beyond any reasonable doubt there was nothing like this, I think it would have an effect.
Richard Aller wants to convince you and anyone who will listen that Dr. Fager's 1968 championship season is the greatest in the history of horse racing.
Okay.
And there goes Dr. Fager.
The fastest horse of all time, able to accelerate quarter-mile splits faster than any horse that ever raced. He could accelerate a quarter-mile split 7 lengths faster than Secretariat.
It's Dr. Fager in front by 3/4 of a
Breaking the
length.
130-pound jinx with apparent ease, Dr. Fager, number 9, flew in on Thursday, raced Saturday, and left Sunday.
The only horse ever to be Horse of the Year, Handicap Horse of the Year, Sprinter of the Year, and Grass Horse of the Year.
But Dr. Fager coming on strongly. He goes now to the front by a head.
Beating 2 Horses of the Year, carrying no less than 130, as much as 139. Got faster as he carried more weight, defying the laws of physics. He could sprint, he could come home, he could come around horses. He did it all, but he didn't do it in the Triple Crown, so he'll never get his just due. Now, let's take a look at American Pharoah. You don't evaluate a horse on one race. You evaluate him on a series of races. So I began to root for him and evaluate him. And I didn't know quite what he was in 1968. And I began to get enraged at the distortions that were made. Let me historically define that. Dr. Fager ran in 1968. Martin Luther King and Robert Kennedy were assassinated. Vietnam War protests. Hey, hey, LBJ, how many kids did you kill today? Race riots all over the country. A riot at the Democratic National Convention. A protest at the Olympics in Mexico City. The most tumultuous year in 20th century history. And he was not on national television. Secretariat ran in 1973. The Triple Crown was on national television.
I'm Jack Whitaker, and welcome to the 105th running of the Belmont Stakes.
Horse racing was consumed by television. And so Secretariat became visibly a shrine. And then when I began to study everything and all the details, and I have a great deal of respect for Secretariat, I realized a terrible historical mistake had been made. Dr. Fager got tested every way imaginable. You only know how good a horse is when they're in a fist fight, head and head with a top horse. It didn't matter anywhere, any place, any time, any conditions, any weight, quality of competition. Dr. Fager's there every time. When the legend places the truth, print the legend. That's what my book is about.
After 3 decades of banging Dr. Fager's drum, Aller hasn't lost his bite when illustrating why Dr. Fager in 1968 ran a campaign like no other.
All you have to do is sit people down and show the facts. It's absolutely irrefutable. And by the way, I don't say that Dr. Fager was the greatest horse of all time. All I said was one season.
100 yards to come, and Dr. Fager is all by himself. 8, 9, Dr. Fager by about 10 lengths. Wow, this is a racer. And ladies and gentlemen, may we draw your attention to the running time. The mile in 1:32 and 1, which is a new world record.
This is a look at what he accomplished in the 1968 season. Dr. Fager won at 7/8. He won at a mile and a 16th, a mile and an eighth, and a mile and a quarter, not to mention winning on the turf.
So let's see. Named champion sprinter, champion older horse, co-champion on the turf, and horse of the year. I would say that is equivalent to what Mark Spitz did in the Olympics way back when.
Yeah, like Greg Louganis, that
Yeah,
kind of stuff.
it's crazy.
I mean, I
I
look
love
at the base
learning
earnings. That's
about a
pretty
horse like
graphic.
this.
Yeah.
That was an awesome feature.
Yeah.
Based on today's economy, $2.2 million earned in that 1968 season. Pretty incredible. Race 8, we move along here on this Friday at Saratoga. Entry-level allowance race. It is a mile and an eighth in Holland Park. Even money right now for trainer Kieran McLaughlin. We'll talk more about the 8th race coming up right after a short timeout. Stay with us. Paddock Report, post-parade for the 8th ahead when we come back on Saratoga Live.
This proven son of Giants Causeway has sired 4 millionaires, including Claiborne Farm stallion Lee. Recent top runners include 4-time graded stakes winner Miss Sky Warrior, 3-time graded stakes winner Sharp Samurai, multiple stakes winner Bal Harbor, and Dubai Group 3 winner Shamal Nibraz. Last year, his 2-year-old sold up to $540,000, while his yearlings fetched up to a whopping $575,000. First Samurai, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Visit Rivers Casino and Resort, upstate New York's ultimate entertainment destination, with live table game action and the hottest new slots paying out millions. Book your luxury waterfront room or suite at upstate New York's premier resort, the Landing Hotel at Rivers Casino and Resort.
We're back on Saratoga Live on Fox Sports 2 and other regional networks across the country. Great to have you with us on this Friday afternoon. Time for a paddock report here for race 8. We're going to check in with Maggie Wolfendale. It's brought to you by Hillendale Farm, now standing Bayern for $15,000.
Greg, thank you. And currently we see 3-2 on number 4, Holland Park, who does come out of that Federico Tessio second place effort behind Diamond King, but we haven't seen him since mid-April. And he comes back in here in this A other than, and he's a horse that I must admit I have not seen since his debut race. Physically, he's changed a lot. He's really lightened up quite a bit. So thus he does look fit, but still wishing he actually looked a little stronger behind the saddle. Now, then again, it does fit the conditions. This is 1 1/8 on a muddy main track. You don't want a big, heavy horse necessarily to get over it. The only other thing that bothers me a bit about him, especially at a short price, is that while he always has been accompanied by the pony, he is a son of Tappet, which they can, especially the great ones, can get a bit obstreperous acting. He is doing just that. Since they got the tag on him, he's settled down quite a bit, though, and is following his pony around. We'll see. That's an awfully short price on him, as he will take on number 3, Proven Reserves, coming off the back of a disappointing effort last time, and Hammer and Ammer just kind of throwing the gauntlet down, if you will, in that mile and a 16th one-turn race at Belmont, and comes back with some blinkers applied here by Chad Brown. Just a very short cup, but boy, he was impressive in breaking his maiden at first time out. He's an impressive-looking horse. Again, I like what I see from Proven Reserves. And then a horse that is making his New York debut is number 1, Meistermind. Broke his maiden going 1.25 miles, the distance of the Derby, Kentucky Derby, down at Churchill. And I like what I see from this horse. He just looks like one that will gallop all day. So if things do fall apart on the front end, and I'm sure Meistermind won't be too far off of it, he will be the one that's still running towards the latter stages of this race. But as I throw it over to you, Andy and Gabby, yay or nay on Holland Park?
Well, I mean, we can talk about Holland Park to start if you want. We both like him. I think he's a good horse. He's not going to be favored. He'll be second choice to Proven Reserves in all likelihood by post time. The problem with Holland Park is his bad behavior. I think he gets left every time he runs, Gabby, and it really hurt him last time and threw his head. I thought he ran very well last time. I think he's run well in all his races, but this is not a good field to get left in, I'll tell you that.
For sure. This is a very competitive field. I'll say 2 trainers who do incredible work with Tappets, who are usually very hard to handle. He is, case in point, Kieran McLaughlin and Steve Asmussen.
Well, so far, Kieran's 0 for 4 in handling this one, but I agree. He may be able to get him. Listen, I'm just joking around.
They get a lot of tappets, and they know how to get the best out of them. But in the Tessio, it did seem that every time that the rider took a hold of this horse, he would toss his head. He was all over the place. But I thought he ran an incredible race.
Most horses that do that don't rally to finish second, especially in races where the pace pretty much holds together.
In that race, he'd get beat by Diamond King, who would go on to run in the Preakness in the Ohio Derby against Tom Amos's Lone Sailor.
Did indeed. Ran behind me that day. I think he was 5th in the Ohio Derby, back behind him. You know, you're looking at Highland Park, and Andy talked about how he has a way of getting left. Let's see if that happens today now that he has a post position, not all the way on the outside.
Kick off our post break with Meistermind for trainer Steve Asmussen, Ricardo Santana Jr. in the irons.
He ran big last time at 1.25 miles at Churchill. Whether or not you believe he can reproduce that effort is the major question. Taking a lot of money.
Todd Pletcher looking to go back-to-back with his 2016 Fasig-Tipton July sale graduate Inherent with John Velasquez aboard.
And he comes off of a victory last time out, but he's really going to have to improve to be anywhere near the rest of his competition today.
Leading trainer at the meet, Chad Brown, sends out Proven Reserves with Irad Ortiz Jr.
Can he bounce back from his last race one late on the Belmont Day card? His debut was stakes quality.
Kieran McLaughlin, he won with 3-year-old filly Dream Pauline yesterday. Can he win with Holland Park here? Joe Bravo aboard.
I'm hoping this horse has learned a thing or two in terms of the professional department since April, but this horse clearly has some talent.
And the New York bred old veteran, the 7-year-old Uncle Si, a 2012 Fasig-Tipton Saratoga sale graduate.
Well, the winners of his of the last race that he comes out of definitely flatters him. Uncle Si, I thought had a little bit of a shot here.
Ian Wilkes sends out Demolition with Julian Leperoux.
Another one for Ian Wilkes, coming fresh off of a maiden victory, but I think another one that faces a tough bunch today.
Son of Blame, Demolition. The 9, Can You Dig It, trained by Jimmy Jerkins with Junior Alvarado.
In some ways, he's the most experienced and most successful going long in here, and if he can overcome his post, he's a major player.
And Weather Whiz on the outside, also for Jimmy Jerkins with Manny Franco.
And judging by the speed that he showed and how Manny Franco rode him last time out, I would imagine they're going to be aggressive with this horse from the outside.
So that's your field here for this 8th race. Coming up again, 1 mile and an 1/8 as we look at the Klarvich stable runner for Chad Brown. Proven reserves, and today Andy making an equipment change.
Yeah, he's putting blinkers on, and that's a remarkable number for trainer Chad Brown. These are horses that are not first-time stars making the change, and Gabby and I were talking off air about it. So frequently, blinker changes like this are out of desperation, and therefore the horses don't have good numbers. This is clearly a move that Chad Brown makes when he really believes the horse needs to make a change, Gabby.
And this horse needs to make a change because this last race, although the pace held, he was bad.
He didn't run well. I mean, he still ran an 83 buyer, but in relative terms of the race, you're right. He did not run well, and the pace held up. You know, I talked to Chad Brown quite a bit about it. He felt that race was 8:15 at night, and he just thought maybe running so late in the day, he'd actually considered scratching him. Might just throw off their rhythm a little bit. So he was not as surprised that he didn't run that well in there. His debut was sensational. Not only was he 3-4 wide the whole way, but he was running and running hard at the end, and that was the day the rail was good at Aqueduct. So he wasn't like with the track bias. He was stakes quality good. That was a fast race, Gabby.
I think that's why his last race was so disappointing. Yep. But as we see the 10 Weather Whiz on screen right now, this horse I thought ran an interesting race last time just because, man, he started to ride him early, but he just kept on getting better as the race progressed.
He did, but he's galloping along on the front end, and there's a big difference between doing that and overcoming the outside post 1 mile and 1/8 here. But obviously, his good races are good, Greg.
Race 8, it is coming up next. 6 minutes to post. We will have it for you live when we return here on Saratoga Live. Still ahead, back in 2004, Shug McGay, he was inducted into the Hall of Fame. Today, his 3-year-old champion filly of 1994 joined him. We'll have that next.
This successful son of AP Indy has sired 6 millionaires, including Eclipse champion West Coast, a multiple Grade 1 winner and runner-up in the $16 million Pegasus World Cup. This year, Flatter is adding even more stakes winners to his outstanding record at stud. In the auction ring, Flatter topped the 2018 Fasig-Tipton July Seal with a $520,000 yearling. Success on the track, success in the ring. Flatter standing at Claiborne Farm.
How do New York breds perform? They win in world-class company. From Grade 1 races in Dubai, where New York-sired New York bred Mind Your Biscuits won the Golden Shaheen for a second time, to Belmont adding to his status as the richest New York bred with a close second in the Met Mile. The Belmont Festival saw 2 more New York breds become millionaires. 4-star Crook in the New York Stakes and world record setter Disco Partner with a repeat victory in the Jaipur. New York breds, get with the program.
Back on Saratoga Live. Today, Saratoga's community outreach, hosting Classic Legacy Thoroughbred Aftercare, a nonprofit. Their mission to protect retired racehorses by providing a quality of life through rehab, retraining, rehoming, and retirement sanctuary. Very good cause there. We have the 8th race coming up in just 3 minutes in here. We talked a little bit at the top of the show with Maggie Wolfendale about Uncle Si, the old 7-year-old in here, tackling some of these new up-and-comers.
Yeah, and listen, he's gotten the better of the 9 Can You Dig It, and Can You Dig It's gotten the better of him. You know, they've seemed like they've traded some punches, but he brings his lunch pail and his game almost every time. He's a good old pro.
Oh, yeah, 30 starts, 6 wins, 10 seconds. More than half his starts has been first or second.
Yeah.
Unusual that in this race, the 3 New York breds, the 6 Uncle Si, 8 Demolition, and the bottom horse, the 9 horse, Can You Dig It, the 3 New York breds, they're all giving weight to the rest of the field, carrying 125 pounds.
One of Uncle Si's wins as well. We say it all the time, no two off tracks alike, but it did come in a sloppy racetrack at Aqueduct, and that was his first start of 2018 for the 7-year-old. Race 8, it is just 2 minutes to post here on this muddy sealed racetrack coming up on Friday here at Saratoga. Welcome to Saratoga Live and Fox Sports 2 and other regional networks across the country. It is presented by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. Great to have you with us. Greg Wolf alongside Paul LaDuca, one of the top trainers in the country, and Tom Amos joined us just in time for the start of race 8 in here. And Kieran McLaughlin, we saw him win with an impressive 3-year-old filly just yesterday on the show. Here he has Holland Park, who is trying to pick up just the second win of his career, the 4-horse in the 8th race.
Yeah, the gray horse on the racetrack that you'll see. The Dam was a good runner. The worry you have with the 4 Holland Park, the first time out at 75 cents on the dollar, got beat by 3 other horses, only a 4-horse field and 1 in a 5-horse field. So this is a tougher spot.
Let's go down to Maggie Wolfendale for more on Holland Park.
Yes, Greg, and as we were talking about Holland Park being a son of Tappet, he can be a little bit on the naughty side. But out here on the racetrack, Joe Bravo has kept him with the lead pony, and he seems pretty settled. But also, because you probably can't give him that big of a warm-up, it might lead to the reason why he doesn't often get away from the gate that well. So hopefully he can focus and get his feet underneath of him and break alertly here today. A horse that I want to touch on is one of 2 Jimmy Jerkins runners. That is on the outside with Weather Whiz. Now, a horse that I was really disappointed in 2 starts back when beaten by Proven Reserves. He was a very short price that day. But Weather Whiz has since come back with a win, going the 1-term Mount of 16th, breaking his maiden. And look, he's gotten close on a lot of his efforts, and I just feel like maybe now he's finally starting to put everything together. He is a big, heavy, stuffy horse. As you see, he's gotten a little hot out here, but that's not out of character with him. I just feel as though that he actually does look more fit emerging out of that maiden race. So we'll see what shakes out. Also, guys, I'm sweating too. It is hot and steamy out here.
A little sticky here on this Friday afternoon. Yeah, Weather Whiz, the 10, 1-5 in that race when he was beat by Proven Reserves. He would come back to air by 4 3/4 lengths. So we'll see if he's able to clear and get to the front from that outside post. I want to check in, though, with Gabby Gaudet. We see she likes the 4 in here, Holland Park. So we'll see if this horse, Gabby, can kind of correct things out of the gate here. The start going to be very important.
Very important. You're right, Greg. I'm hoping that he breaks well here today and then just responds positively to Joe Bravo, because that's not what he did in the Federico Tessio last time out under Georgie Vargas. Every time the rider would go to correct him or even hold him and get him covered up, he would toss his head. He was a very difficult horse to kind of settle. That said, nobody else made up any ground in that race. The fact that he could make up almost 8 lengths from start to finish with the pace staying intact, I think it just showed his talent. So I'm hoping that the quirks step aside today and the talent shines through.
And Tom, as a trainer, I mean, how quickly can you kind of turn those problems around with a lightly raced horse?
Well, remember, that start was back in April, so he's had plenty of time to work with him. And it wasn't a start without problems. Didn't break very sharp from an outside position. Uneducated horses will sometimes do that. He rushed him up, got on heels with another horse, had a check when he got very aggressive, and overall it was a very good race for the 4-horse Holland Park.
Listen, you got to discern the first and second choice here. The 3 won and broke his maiden in a 4-horse field. The 4 broke his maiden, like I said, in a 5-horse field and lost in a 4-horse field. You're facing horses like Uncle Si, who've won 6 times, multiple winners here.
Over $500,000.
And you're getting great value on the 6. You're getting great value on a horse like the 9, too, as well.
Orange cap and those Mike Rapoli royal blue and orange silks. That is the 7-year-old New York bred Uncle Si. $555,000 in earnings. Can he notch another win under his belt? Let's send it upstairs to the voice of horse racing's Triple Crown for the call, Larry Colmus. Take it away.
Holland Park goes into the starting gate at odds of 2-1. And that leaves just Weather Whiz to the outside stall. And they're all in line. They're off. And it's Weather Whiz on the far outside, out sharply with Meistermind, Inherent, and Uncle Si in close pursuit. Moving into that first turn, Proven Reserves just a beat slow to begin, is racing along in 5th position here, about 6 lengths off the lead. Then Can You Dig It, followed by the trailers Holland Park and Demolition. So they make their way toward the backstretch. Weather Whiz is able to clear from that outside post, leads Inherent through an opening quarter mile onto the backstretch. 23.57 was that quarter. And then comes Uncle Si third on the outside. And then Meistermind fourth, Proven Reserves fifth up the backstretch, racing outside of horses and 6 lengths from the front. Another 2 to Can You Dig It? And then it's Holland Park, Demolition, last of them all. Halfway up the backstretch, Weather Whiz on top. Uncle Si in pursuit through a half mile of 47.66 seconds. Inherent tracks the top 2, running along in third, 2.5 lengths off the lead. Then Proven Reserves. Meistermind is racing inside of Holland Park. They're 6 lengths behind with Can You Dig It? Outside of them at the half-mile pole. The trailer is Demolition, and the leader is Weather Whiz. As Uncle Si ranges up alongside, now they're just a neck apart. Weather Whiz and Uncle Si, Proven Reserves 2 lengths off of them, put to pressure to keep up with the top 2. Then Can You Dig It on the outside of Holland Park, Meistermind toward the inside, Demolition and Inherent now at the back of the pack. They're into the stretch, Uncle Si and Weather Whiz turning for home together. They're stride for stride coming to the 8th pole. Proven Reserves trying to come and get them on the outside. Meistermind is down toward the rail. Can You Dig It? Also puts in a bit in the center of the track. Still wide open here. Here's Proven Reserves though, and Proven Reserves hits the front. Gerard Ortiz Jr. and Proven Reserves are going to go on and score here. A blanket finish for second that went to Uncle Si over Can You Dig It and Weather Whiz in 151.18.
There's Chad Brown giving another victory for the leading trainer at the meet. Early on, Manny Franco tried to pull off an exact repeat of the last race we just saw. Got a little pressure instead this time, and Proven Reserves comes and gets him.
Yeah, and the blinkers did help this son of Flatter. He looked hopeless at the top of the lane, but when Irad Ortiz went right-handed, he really did take off. I'm wondering if the horses sort of stop. Uncle Si is hanging and tying a bit. He can't really get by Weather Whiz. And you see the 3 in the middle of the racetrack, but right here when he starts hitting him right-handed, he takes off.
Yeah, I think maybe a pace mistake by the leaders in this race. Look, I get it. The horse that made the lead, Weather Whiz, his heart gets big on the lead. But Uncle Si, he was very close and engaging him throughout. I think he's a victim of the track playing a certain way, wanting to be closer than he typically is. Cost him in the finish. Benefited Chad Brown, who laid off the pace and made a big run at the end with Proven Reserves.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Tom. I thought that just looking at how the race was run and how it was finished, this horse was definitely benefited by the pace flow in front of him. But could I be wrong in saying that maybe Uncle Si doesn't even want to go this far, and that's why we kind of saw him trickle off in the end?
Yeah, maybe a little bit, Gabby. Do you think that maybe he made a little bit of a move thinking he saw that last race and goes, okay, they went pretty fast, I got to be up close, and maybe these were a little better horses?
Yeah, no, that's a very good point, too. And sometimes, you know, when you have a horse like the 10 Weather Whiz, who was so impressive last time out, you need to attack the pace, or else you might just see a horse go wire to wire.
Let's give Andy some credit. He said this horse's first start was stakes quality. He looked at it again today.
Winning Silks of Klarovich Stables, Chad Brown, Irad Ortiz Jr., and Proven Reserves into the winner's circle. Let's go to Maggie Wolfendale on horseback.
Thank you, Greg. And Proven Reserves here with Irad Ortiz. 3rd start, 2nd win. Irad, going back to his last race, which was almost at night, what kind of happened? Chad Brown said that he thought he may have not responded well to it being nearly dark.
I mean, you know, when it's almost 7:30 at night, came the schedule of the horses. Sometimes they don't know, and he's young. He got only 2 races. We put the blinkers on today, Last time was inside post. I don't think he really liked it. Today he was great. He was traveling perfect, going to the first turn, going to the backside. I put him the clear. And gotta start working early on him. But he's that kind of horse that you have to keep him busy. But he responds really well in the stretch.
I was going to say, he seems like a horse that maybe not the most motivated, but that he'll keep going and finding for you over a long distance.
Yeah, he do. He keep coming on the stretch. You can see how he win.
And he was impressive first time out. What did you think of him that day?
Well, he was impressive first time. Then we expect a big rate from him second time. Like we say, was very late, inside post. We just turned the page, and today he come back and made a good performance. So hopefully he kept going. He keep doing better and better.
Well, Irad, job well done by you. Had him in the perfect position today with Proven Reserves.
Thank you.
All right, Greg. Proven Reserves. He is proving himself to be a nice one.
He certainly is. We already know this trainer right here. He's a very good one. He's bound for the Hall of Fame one day and trying to get back as the leading trainer at this meet after Todd Pletcher took that mantle away from him last year. 3-6, 9-10 finish here in race 8, and that's back-to-back races. We have seen a Claiborne Stallion offspring in the winner's circle. Proven Reserves, a son of Flatter. Flatter, of course, son of AP Indies, sired 6 millionaires, including the reigning 3-year-old champion, West Coast, who was tremendous in the Travers here last summer.
Yeah, and Proven Reserves is that of Empire Maker Mare Oil Empress. As you see, the beautiful Flatter just frolicking out in the farm. I just want to be Flatter when I grow up. But listen, this horse ran giant today because when you putting the blinkers on, you would think he would have shown more speed, but he actually relaxed very well. And again, he responded to the whip. He showed the most finish at the end of this, like most Chad Brown horses do.
Yeah, look, sometimes it's about speed with blinkers. Other times it's about focus. Today, it got him focused.
Paul, you want to be put out to pasture?
If I could be like that all the time?
Did look like
Easy.
a lot of fun, didn't it? Chad Brown gets another winner here at Saratoga, leading trainer at the meet. Give him another one. We're going to take a break in the action. When we come back, it is horse racing's version of the replay booth. We'll meet horse racing stewards when we come back.
Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates.
Gonna turn with a link to the half lead.
Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200.
Dramatic finish.
Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
This 3-time graded stakes winning millionaire defeated 20 Grade 1 winners. In the Dixie Stakes, he defeated Canadian champion and horse of the year Up with the Birds and set a new course record at Saratoga. Now the excitement is building as his first foals have arrived this year. Half to 4 graded stakes winners, Ironicus has the speed, class, and bloodlines to become the next great sire by Distorted Humor. Ironicus, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Success starts at Saratoga. The Saratoga Selected Yearling Sale has established a reputation for high quality and high performance. Recent graduates include Grade 1 winners Avenge, Bolt d'Oro, and Moonshine Memories, and 2017 Breeders' Cup champions Battle of Midway, Stormy Liberal, and Rushing Fall. The nation's #1 sale by percentage of Grade 1 winners, the Fasig-Tipton Saratoga Sale, August 6th and 7th.
We found Breeders' Cup champion Rushing Fall at Saratoga. Where will you be?
on Saratoga Live, presented by Claiborne Farm. Proven reserves, 3 career starts, and now 2 victories for trainer Chad Brown and Klarovich Stables. Irad Ortiz Jr. aboard for the win.
Yeah, we were talking about this horse's pedigree flat out of the Empire Maker Mirror. The blinkers went on, Tom, and it worked. Listen, was able to get the job done. And Uncle Si, man, the kind of horse you'd love to own with over almost $600,000 in the bank.
I mean, Uncle Si second. Can you dig in another New York bred third, running an open company? The New York bred program is the best in the country as far as being competitive against outside competition. Look no further than tomorrow's Whitney.
Yeah.
Irad Ortiz Jr. now back tied for the lead with 15 victories as well in the jockey race. As we take a look at the Naira Bets late pick 5 follow along. Biggest price so far was in that first leg with Miss Mystique, but we got a long way to go still.
Yeah, we do. Listen, and there was really no lockjaw odds on a single in this sequence. Horse opened up in the last race at even money and didn't get the job done. So I think you're okay if you're still alive because it's been overpaying all meat anyway. Just get the next couple races home.
Oh, I talked about that outstanding season in 1968 from Dr. Fager, and his regular pilot for most of that season was the Hall of Famer Braulio Baeza. His son joined the opposite side. Did not become a jockey. He's upstairs in the steward's booth. Here's another edition of I Am.
I am Braulio Baeza Jr. And I am the Naira steward. Steward's job is to referee the sport and make sure the betting public has a fair shake. Our main job is to watch the races, so make sure there's no infractions on any of the races. There's 3 stewards in New York. One belongs to the Jockey Club, which is Jimmy Edwards. The stage steward is Steve Lewandowski, and I am the Naira steward. So New York is a little unique, where it has 3 different entities for the stewards. 2 of us watch the races live from the window, and one of us records it, watches on multiple screens. The stage steward shuts off the betting. We have a pretty good system here in New York right now. It's 6 live shots, and they all run simultaneously. So on the bottom level, we have what we call a 2-shot, which is shot from behind. The middle shot is a roving head-on, so it's constantly giving us a head-on. And then we have the pan shot right to the right. Okay, so sometimes the head-on won't give you the depth, so you look at the pan to see how far he is or if he's clear not to come over. We're looking for any kinds of infractions, intimidation, excessive use of the whip, anything cutting off or shutting off. So if people don't maintain a straight course, it's an infraction. There's 3 different kinds of objections or claims of foul. The trainer can lodge a claim of foul, the jockey can lodge a claim of foul, or a steward's inquiry. After the race is official, we watch the replays, and then we go back and we'll call when the jockey's up on a direct line. If we need to speak to him for an infraction, and we'll speak to them, let them give their explanation. Then we'll review the movie again, and we'll make our decision.
The stewards have disqualified number 2 Power Nap from 1st to 3rd for interference with number 1 Chamois in the stretch.
Until we decide that the race is official and there's no infractions, the race does not go official.
And it's official.
Yeah, we're going off our eyes and the experience. A lot of experience in the stand right now. Jimmy Edwards used to be a jockey. Steve Lewandowski's been there for 30 years, and I've pretty much run the gamut, front side and backside. Of course, my dad was a jockey, so I watched racing since I was a kid with my dad, and it's just the best part.
1, 2, 3, 4, good number.
All right, so Paula Duca, I got to ask you this. Braulio Baeza's son becoming a steward, would you be okay? You have a daughter. Would you be okay if she became an umpire?
Sure, why not?
You have love for the umpires.
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
So are you saying that he went to the dark side? Because that's really what I'm getting from you, Greg.
Yeah, right.
I didn't quite go there with my lead into this. By the way, Carmine D'Onofrio, another of the stewards, was John Nehrute's assistant trainer and exercise rider. So a lot of ties to Dr. Fager with the New York Racing Association stewards.
Yeah, and the validity of having a couple of guys that have ridden before and have been out on the racetrack is giant as well. And Braulio acknowledging that, and There they all are, and they do a great job. Listen, they are, sometimes we're in a world 2018 where we haven't caught up video-wise to help them out, let's be honest.
And there's always a side that's unhappy no matter what ruling they make, right?
Exactly. Whatever
you
happens.
can't win.
Yeah, you can't win.
Our show brought to you in part each and every day by champion sprinter. Run Happy never lost in his career when he was sprinting, and he did it all while racing without the use of Lasix medication. After that Breeders' Cup sprint win, when he set a track record at Keeneland, Edgar Prado said he could only remember being on one other horse who was that fast and wasn't breathing hard after the race, and that was Kentucky Derby winner Barbaro.
By the way, I was sitting in the pre-production meeting this morning. We're talking about Run Happy, and Tom Amos just sort of turned around and goes, I cannot wait to have one of his babies.
I'm going to have one in my barn next year. Yeah. This spring, I will have a 2-year-old, whether I buy him as a yearling this year or I get him a 2-year-old sale or I beg Mac to just give me one. I will have a Run Happy in my barn.
Come on, James McIvale. Tom Amos needs one.
I told him that. Belmont Day.
Run Happy. They're coming to a racetrack near you spring and summer of 2020. And hopefully one or more of them at Tom Amos's barn as well. Our feature race coming up next. That is the National Museum of Racing Hall of Fame. Grade 2 mile and 16th on the turf for 3-year-olds in Chad Brown. Sending out Raging Bull, the current favorite.
Raging Bull, the current favorite. A horse that's going back to 2 turns. I think that's going to make a difference for Raging Bull. I think he likes that. A couple of scratches in here, Paul. The 8 and the 10, they both represent speed in this race, but there's still some other speed to be had.
Yeah, there is. There is some other pace in here. The worry is now how soft or how good is the turf course, and which one of these horses is going to love it.
Get signed up started. You can play the Hall of Fame and all of the races we show you each and every day here on Saratoga Live by playing with Naira Bets. $200 new member sign-up bonus going on if you use that promo code Saratoga Live. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Head to NairaBets.com or download the Naira Bets app. We're going to take a break in the action. We'll be back. Hall of Fame trainer Shug McGahee welcoming in his champion 3-year-old filly, Heavenly Prize, earlier today across the street. We'll be back.
How do New York breds perform? They win in world-class company. From Grade 1 races in Dubai, where New York sired New York bred Mind Your Biscuits won the Golden Shaheen for a second time. To Belmont, adding to his status as the richest New York bred with a close second in the Met Mile. The Belmont Festival saw 2 more New York breds become millionaires. 4-star Crook in the New York Stakes and world record setter Disco Partner with a repeat victory in the Jaipur. New York breds, get with the program.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates.
Off the turn with a link to the half lead.
Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200.
The dramatic finish.
Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
And at the quarter pole, it's Heavenly Prize in front. Heavenly Prize has the lead by 2. Heavenly Prize scores here by 6, widening lengths in a sharp time. And at the quarter pole, it's Heavenly Prize in front. Heavenly Prize has the lead by 2. Heavenly Prize scores here by 6 widening lengths in a sharp time. 1 minute 35 and 2/5 seconds, equaling the stakes record. And Heavenly Prize is taken over. Heavenly Prize is at the top of the stretch here at the Graveyard of Champions. Heavenly Prize is going on to win it, and she'll win here by 5. Lakeway in a shocking defeat.
Heavily favored Heavenly Prize is coming at them on the outside, just moving sweetly. Here is Heavenly Prize, who moves by with absolutely alarming ease. Pat Day takes a look back. No looking back for this champion filly. Heavenly Prize absolutely in a runaway. You'll never see a racehorse win a Grade 1 as easy as this. Heavenly Prize, a 6-length winner. She could have won by the length of the stretch this afternoon.
Well, 10 years after Stablemate Inside Information was voted into the Hall of Fame, Heavenly Prize joins her. She was the lone contemporary selection to the National Museum of Racing Hall of Fame as we take a look at her credentials. And Andy, pretty neat. Shug McGahee had 2 fillies that debuted on the very same card at Belmont, just 2 races apart. They both won those debut. Now they're both in the Hall of Fame.
I know, Greg, I remember that day like it was yesterday because they were both so incredible and loved all the Phipps horses. And Inside Information was a brilliant horse. I had a special affinity for Heavenly Prize and can remember her redemption, winning our Alabama by 7 lengths over Lakeway. It's one of my favorite moments in Saratoga history.
8 of the 9 career wins from Heavenly Prize came in Grade 1 company. Here's her trainer, Shug McGahee, earlier today at the Hall of Fame induction.
It was a privilege to have a filly like Heavenly Prize in the barn, and she brought us a lot of joy throughout her career. And on behalf of the Phipps family, I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame's nominating committee and for all those who voted for Heavenly Prize. I'd also like to thank the entire Phipps family for giving me the opportunity to train their wonderful horses over the past 30 years or so. I'd also like to thank the Hancock family, Bernie, and the entire Claiborne family for their help and advice through so many years.
Now, the Phipps family and Shug McGahee have been quite a partnership over the years. As we take a look at some of the other inductees in the Pillars of the Turf category, Arthur B. Hancock Sr. voted in, Penny Chenery and August Belmont, and John Morrissey, who founded Saratoga in part. For those who watched Gangs in New York back in the day, he's also the man who led to the demise of Bill the Butcher, who was played by Daniel Day-Lewis.
Well, somebody needed to. That was a bad man.
Yes, he was. Fascinating history when you look back at some of these people. That all happened earlier today, right across the street here from the racetrack at the Fasig-Tipton Pavilion. Time for a paddock report now. We're going to check in with Maggie Wolfendale. It's brought to you by Hillendale Farm, now standing Curlin for $150,000.
Thanks, Greg, and keeping it real here in the paddock. As we'll take a look at one of your favorites in here, and that is number 6, Jiddu. And coming back from Ascot, as Todd Pletcher had said earlier on our show, really doesn't require much. It's a pretty easy ship back and forth, and honestly, he looks much the same as he did when going back to his Paradise Creek victory. And if anything, I think going longer is actually better based upon his physicality. You know, he has the Franco on top, he has the unbridled song on the bottom, and those two kind of married together kind of equal a mile, being absolutely perfect here. So I think Jiddu is formidable. As we'll take a look at the inside runner, Gemontier, who will look to be setting the pace. But physically, I'm excited about what I see here from him. Really well-muscled, well-conditioned here by Jenna Antonucci, and as his last 2 races would indicate, a mile is perfect. We'll see if he can get in a fight when they come to him on the front end. Moving on to number 5 in here, Ride a Comet, coming in from Woodbine from trainer Mark Cassey, and I was impressed visually by his last 2 efforts up there. Maybe he wasn't beating much and the waters get a little deeper here, but visually watching them, I like what I'd seen. I like what I see here in the paddock as well, as he looks great for his connections. And then finally on the outside is number 11, Westerland. He will be coming out of a third-place effort off the bench in the Manila, and I thought he just didn't look that fit that day. He got hot as well in the paddock, usually an indication of horse needing the proverbial race. Today, he's more tucked up. He hasn't gotten hot, and I think we'll see Westerland move forward off of that effort here, Greg, in the Hall of Fame.
Maggie thinks, yeah, Westerland with the condition of this turf course maybe becomes a little more interesting as well.
Yeah, not only that, the condition of the turf course, but the transition from 1 to 2 turns and the pace structure of a 2-turn race is much more suited for his European style than that 1-turn Belmont race.
Yeah, and when you see progeny of Galileo, obviously Frankel was a superstar.
I'd love it.
They do like a little bit of a cut in the ground, and that's what this colt's going to get. So I know that a lot of people don't like the play horses that are coming in from synthetic, but this horse got a good win over the turf in Europe with blinkers on. Doesn't have blinkers on today, though.
Yeah, and that win was on good to soft turf at Leicester over in Great Britain. Called a post. You may hear behind us. Our post parade brought to you by OCD Pellets. Build stronger bone with their 2-in-1 bone and joint supplement. For more information, visit OCDpellets.com. Post parade for the Hall of Fame begins with Jean Montier, 2016 Fasig-Ticton October sale graduate for Jenna Antonucci.
Yeah, look, the best chance he has is to go to the front and try not to look back. Good luck with that, Paul. There's a lot of speed in here.
Murad, trained by Todd Pletcher, a 2017 Fasig-Ticton May sale graduate with Irad Ortiz Jr.
The 5, Ride a Comet, and him are the only 2 4-time winners in here. He's a major player if he can get the trip.
Kelly Rubley sends out Gunnison, a son of Bernardini.
This horse has a solid race record on the grass, but is stepping up to a new level today.
Chad Brown, he sends out Raging Bull. Joel Rosario rides.
Yeah, he was much the best last time. A lot of people don't realize, then the backside, he sort of got pushed back out of it and then had too much to do. He's the horse to beat as we're still trying to find Raging Bull.
We jump ahead. Oh, there's the 5, Ride a Comet. He's won 4 of his last 5 starts, trained by Mark Cassie with Jose Ortiz.
And he's undefeated on the grass, Greg, in 3 tries. He's a player in this spot.
Guido for Todd Pletcher. Went across the pond to run in the Group 1 Commonwealth against 23 horses. John Velasquez aboard.
Yeah, listen, I mean, he surprised a lot of people. He's coming in here working great, and he's got the pedigree to like a little soft turf.
Steve Asmussen Barn has been red hot. Ricardo Santana Jr. aboard, combatant.
He's making only his 2nd turf start. His first one was his debut. You can throw that one out. Let's see if he likes the grass.
The 9 horse, Have At It, trained by Christophe Clement and Javier Castellano aboard.
Yeah, this is a very good turf horse. He's going to try to take it to the next level also. I like him at a price.
And Westerland, who we talked about for Hall of Famer Bill Mott, has Florent Giroux aboard.
Well, we talked about it. A weak U.S. debut, but this is a whole different set of circumstances. Going to 2 turns on the grass, he'll like this a lot better than what he did at Belmont.
And a little late to the party, but here he is. Here's Raging Bull, our current 5-2 favorite.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I think Joel, what ended up happening is he got backed up a little bit. I don't think you're going to see Raging Bull that far behind today. He'll be more engaged early.
Well, Andy, Chad Brown, the trainer of the 4 Raging Bull, has said he's certainly lightly raced, but it's a horse who has a ton of talent.
Absolutely. I mean, he considered even running him in the Secretariat, especially if the weather had gotten bad today. This is a horse, Gabby, who was beaten by the pace last time out. And as you were saying earlier on the show, he's run extremely well in all of his races.
Yeah, this is his 2nd place performance at 40 cents of the dollar behind Up the Ante. But Up the Ante had more positional speed than he did. He got shuffled back a little bit. Naturally, he's not the quickest early. So he had a lot going against him in this particular race. On top of that, he's got an Irish pedigree that would suggest he'll take to this turf course. On top of that, Chad Brown has won the last 3 renditions of this race.
Gabby sounds just like owner Peter Brand, who said to me earlier today, he's an Irish bred. He should love the wets going as well. We'll see if that's
Little
the case.
give in the ground.
Todd Pletcher's got 2 in here, and they both have a real chance. Now, obviously, Guido is the flashier of those horses. I think the real question with him is whether or not he's as suited to a 2-turn mile and a 16th race. And he has gone 2 turns, to be fair, at Gulfstream and Tampa. But they were very firm courses. A different situation today. And he also may have some pressure on the front end dealing with the 1, Gementier.
I like that they're taking a shot, though, because if you think about the options moving forward for a horse that can go 2 turns versus a turf sprinter, it speaks for itself.
You could always cut him back.
Exactly. to me, seeing him physically in the past, I have never thought that he's had particular distance limitations, but he is very, very fast. So we'll see.
And if the ship doesn't bother him, he's a very talented horse. As is Maraud. And I'll say one thing about Maraud, the other Todd Pletcher horse, Gabby. You know he's going to handle the turf. I mean, he had a lot of giving the ground at Churchill Downs that day. And it's not like he's run badly in either of his 2 last races. I thought he was way too close to pace in the Penn Mile. I think he's a big-time player in this race.
I'd have to say, though, thinking that he'll take to this turf course and basing your opinion off of the course at Churchill, it's apples and oranges. That was a bog that day.
Yeah, no, I agree. This is not nearly as bad, but he can handle the cut, and that's a very, very valid point. You and I both have interest in some other horses. I like the 9 Westerland, 11 Westerland a little bit as a price. You're interested in the 5 Ride a Comet, who's been very visually impressive in winning. Are you surprised that Ride a Comet is only 5-1, Gabby?
Yes, and I took a shot with him, actually, to try to beat the favorite in here, and I don't know if I would have if I knew that he was going to be in the 4-1, 5-1 range. But the way he won his last race, nobody else was closing. He was visually impressive. Yes, he's taking a big step up in class, but I even like him more so looking at his frame. He's very light. He's quick on his feet, so we'll see if he can take to the turf today.
Well, Greg, a lot going on in the Hall of Fame. It's always one of our favorite races.
It will definitely be a good one. The horse you just saw, Ride a Comet, trying to win his 5th at his last 6 starts. Our feature race coming up next on Saratoga Live.
His record-breaking accomplishments on the racetrack paved his way here to the Stall of Legends. Now retired to stud, we welcome the dawning of a new era as this esteemed champion hopes to stake his claim to immortality. His blazing speed and striking good looks have been passed down to his remarkable first foals. Foals that will carry the flag of their famous father and one day hope to break records of their own. Medication-free and undefeated in sprint competition. Run happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
You're watching Saratoga Live on this Friday afternoon on Fox Sports 2 and other regional networks across the country. Great to have you with us at the premier race meet in the entire country. Our feature race is coming up. The Grade 2 National Museum of Racing Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame inductions happened earlier this morning. We showed you Heavenly Prize getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, trained by Shug McGahee. Getting close to post, just a minute away from more on this group. Let's check in with Maggie Wolfendale.
Yes, Greg, horses are making their way onto the turf course for this Mountain 16th event, outer turf course. And just want to touch on number 4 in here, your 2-1 favorite, and Raging Bull. He's a funny horse in that, you know, once he gets the tack on, he becomes a totally different animal. He puffs himself up, because he's not much to look at before the tack comes on, but he puffs himself up, bows his neck, and it's just game on. So Raging Bull, he'll look to seek revenge and kind of get back to his winning ways after finishing second last time in the Manila. But guys, I'm going to try a little bit of a price here at 10-1 on the outside with Westerland. I just think he's moved forward a ton for his first race here in the States.
So 11-1 on the 11 horse in here. It's not going to be quite that far outside. Couple of scratches in this race. So he will break from post 9 here in this spot as we head back downstairs to Andy Serling.
You know, Westerland actually ran well in that race. First of all, it was first time over here and his first time running in 7 months. But, you know, Gabby, unlike Raging Bull, who was saving ground before he angled out, and obviously Raging Bull ran better. I'm not saying he didn't. But Westerland was wide chasing on the turn. He still finished up fairly well. Now, the others behind him were fairly weak, but he could move forward and get a piece of this.
If you think Raging Bull was pace compromised, so too was Westerland. Guys, we're all over the map on this one.
34th running of the National Museum of Racing Hall of Fame. Chad Brown's Raging Bull, the one to beat the 4-horse. Let's send it upstairs to Larry Colmus for the call.
They're off for the National Museum of Racing Hall of Fame Stakes, and it's Jamontir who comes out well. Guido is up and on the pace 2. Murad is away running in 3rd. And then comes Gunnison coming through on the inside of Raging Bull. Outside of them, Ride a Comet, and deep into that turn was Combatant. At the back of the field, Have At It and Westerland is last in the initial stages as Guido takes charge here and scampers off to a 2.5, a 3-length lead onto the backstretch. Guido opening up now on the competition after a 23.44 quarter. It's run off to a 6-length lead. With Jamontir running in 2nd onto the backstretch. Murad and Combatant are next by another 2. And then it's Ride a Comet on the outside of Gunnison. Raging Bull is a good 12 lengths off of front-running Guido up the backstretch and just ahead of Have At It and Westerland as they continue their way through this first half mile in 47.23 seconds. John Velasquez and Guido uncontested early here, 6 lengths in front as the field races for the far turn. Jamontir is 2nd. Murad is on the inside of Combatant as they make their way around the turn. And then it's Ride a Comet's got 10 lengths to make up. After that, Raging Bull who's getting roused to go. Gunnison is next, and then Have At It in Westerland. Can Guido keep on going here? 3/4 in 111.96. And they're into the stretch, and Guido turns for home in front. The lead is down to 3. Murad is trying to come and get him now. Ride a Comet is closing well on the outside. Raging Bull is down the center. Plenty of ground to make up. Guido grimly holding on to the lead. Ride a Comet. Murad is there. Raging Bull on the far outside. They're coming down to the line. Murad's got it close to home. Raging Bull finishing fast. Murad, Raging Bull. It is very close. Very close. Did Raging Bull get there in the last stride? Murad was right with him on the wire. Ride a Comet and Guido.
Photo finish in our feature. The Hall of Fame. Murad right there for trainer Todd Pletcher, but Raging Bull was closing fast on the outside.
Hard to tell who won this race between Murad on the inside and Raging Bull on the outside. We're looking at Chad Brown and his family, and they're not sure who won. This was just one heck of a horse race, and it doesn't deserve a loser. Murad and Raging Bull hitting the wire together, Gabby. Let's give a little love to Guido, too, who ran off at a fast pace, and he didn't quit until the very late stages.
The fact that he hung on as long as he did, I found to be very, very impressive. But we saw Murad, you know, he was handling the give and the ground. At one point, I thought that Raging Bull wasn't handling the ground, and then this closing kick, guys, just came from nowhere.
Yeah, the 4 does win this race in the last bob here, Tom. He's going to pass the 2 here, Murad. Murad was on the wrong lead in between horses, and he showed a lot of guts, but the 4 just sort of swept by this field really late, sort of like all the Chad Browns usually do. They sit back and they make that one run.
We'll take a close look. You'll see Raging Bull, the 4, was also on his left lead down the lane, on his wrong lead, you could say. Big, big effort by the horse that made the lead, Guido, but I think a little bit of running off of Paul. You hit it right in the head, they just put it up.
Yeah, I thought Voodoo Song runs tomorrow in the Lure. For a moment, I thought he was lined up in this race.
Yeah, right? They already got the photo up, and it's about a couple noses. But, yeah, listen, Rosario timed this perfectly. Raging Bull is a lazy type of horse a little bit, but when he gets rolling, he really does get rolling. Murad got a great trip in this, and so did Ride a Comet, but Raging Bull was able to pass them both.
So I'm the rookie on the set, but it seems to me that on these photos, give the advantage to the outside, because that wasn't as close as I thought.
No, you just give the advantage to me. I got the eyes of an eagle, okay?
Chad Brown once again heading to the winner's circle. These close ones, he seems to win them all. Let's go to Maggie Wolfendale.
Yeah, here with Joel. He had to earn this one, I would say, on Raging Bull. You know, Gabby Gaudette just said that it didn't look as though he was handling the turf course, and you just said it's awfully soft out here. Was that the case?
Yes, it looked like very soft for him. You know, he kind of struggling the whole time to just keep up with it. And,
he got the job done very close to, when we come to the wire, it looked like, I don't know, maybe the horse in front got hold on, but he did get the job done, so it was great.
Well, it's good to interview and not have to interview somebody else after you this time around. We seem to get close here on the stakes, Joel. But, Joel, this is a very nice horse. I mean, out of his 4 starts, he's won 3 of them. Talk a little bit about your trip overall and just getting up.
Yeah, we worked really well from there, and then looked like the first turn I could go forward and try to get my spot, but I think it was a really tough spot to try to go forward. I kind of just had to hold him a little bit and just trying to let it clear then, and then find the, in the good spot in the outside. And then it's just like you say, he's trying all the time really hard, and he have a good kick in the last part.
Well, job done. Well done to you and to Raging Bull here, Joel.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Both, Joel, Raging Bull, and myself, we're a little out of breath out here.
Well, Joel should be. And is there a better finishing rider in the game right now, Tom?
Look, I have to give my hat off to the entire colony here. I've seen so many guys, Manny Franco, Saez, both the Ortiz boys, certainly Joel Rosario. These guys can finish on a horse.
Yeah.
They put the other colonies that I'm around to shame.
Yeah, and he can carry a horse. You know what I like about Joel? He'll use the whip early, but late he puts the whip away. And you can see right there in probably the last 70 to 80 yards, it's just pure strength to get by Murad, So, yeah, I mean, he's up there, one of the best. He reminds me of a young, rest in peace, Garrett Gomez.
Not a guy you want to see coming at you late in a race if you're on the front end and he's charging behind you. Raging Bull, what a performance here, and just up in time for the victory. This horse has no quit in him.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, listen, he probably should be 4 for 4 now.
And for Guido, do you think he just ran off a little bit?
No, there's no question. I mean, there's no question that Guido is doing more than what Velasquez wanted him to, what Johnny wanted him to do on the front end. But he hung tough, didn't he? And you watch these horses come down the lane. I know the turf's listed as good, but it sure looked like they were tearing it up pretty good. I think 47 and 23 100ths is very, very fast, which is what Guido did in the first half mile.
Raging Bull now 3 for 4 in his career. We're going to take a look ahead to the Whitney contenders and the 2 New York breds when we come back.
This graded stakes winner and multiple Grade 1 performer by Tapit has become one of the nation's leading sires of 2-year-olds. Ranked number 1 in his crop by number of winners, he sired 11 stakes horses in 2017, including graded stakes winners Wild Shot and Oklahoma Derby winner Untrapped. At the sales, his yearlings have sold up to $480,000. Trap Shot, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Success starts at Saratoga. The Saratoga Selected Yearling Sale has established a reputation for high quality and high performance. Recent graduates include Grade 1 winners Avenge, Bolt d'Oro, and Moonshine Memories, and 2017 Breeders' Cup champions Battle of Midway, Stormy Liberal, and Rushing Fall. The nation's #1 sale by percentage of Grade 1 winners, the Fasig-Tipton Saratoga Sale, August 6th and 7th.
We found Breeders' Cup champion Rushing Fall at Saratoga. Where will you be?
Saratoga Live, and Cod Campbell inducted into the Racing Hall of Fame in the Pillars of the Turf category. There he is with the hat on there, and instrumental in this sport in bringing together horse racing partnerships. Let's go downstairs to Maggie Wolfendale.
And here in the winner's circle with winning trainer Chad Brown. And Chad, Raging Bull, first I want to talk about the early stages of his career. He was actually bought in Europe and brought here as a yearling.
As a baby, Eugenio Colombo bought this horse for Peter Brandt, and it was one of the first group of horses he bought when he got back in the game. And he started early training over there and was sent to me unraced to try a campaign in America. I'm so lucky they sent me the horse. He's been a class act since he's come over, and as you can see, he has a devastating turn foot.
He really does, and it's fun to watch him get ready for a race because he kind of blows himself up. Is he just a horse that mentally is what you look for in a racehorse?
I agree with you. That's what we see. And when we put the tack on this horse, he kind of puffs up, and he's all business. And, if you're a horse trainer, these are the kind of horses you want in your barn.
Now, going in today, were there any concerns with you with the ground? Obviously, he has a European pedigree, but still, you never know.
I had concerns. I know he won on good ground at Keeneland, but I think this horse is better on firm ground. And hour by hour, I was thinking about scratching this horse today and run the Secretariat and try him on a 1.25 miles with a clear forecast next week in Chicago. And Peter and I talked about it right up until just a couple hours before the race. And we said, you know what? It stopped raining. Let's just give it a shot, and it worked out.
Well, that it did. Congratulations here. 3 for 4 lifetime with Raging Bull.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, guys, back to you.
So that's a little bit of a scary proposition for the competition if Chad Brown thinks this horse is even better on a firm going.
Yeah, and how about just going a little bit longer, too? I mean, this horse is going to enjoy that trip a lot.
Well, to have the confidence after 2 races or 3 races to throw the horse into a Grade 1 Secretariat with maybe some European runners in there is pretty ambitious. But like you said, the son of Dark Angel, Mr. Greeley Mare and Mr. Brandt, there's Mr. Cott Campbell. They got a runner on their hands, and hopefully you're alive in this late pick 5. Still no winning favorites. Was Raging Bull end up being your favorite but post time? Yeah, so 1 winning favorite, right? It might have been second choice. Very tight in the betting there. So, but again, the lowest you can do to the 1 to 9, $500. You're still getting great value.
We got 1 more to go. So let's see how it plays out. The 10th coming up, 6.5 furlongs, $20,000 claiming race, and Regalian for Chris Engelhardt off the claim. Right now, the horse to beat on the board.
Well, definitely the horse to beat on the board, especially a claim back. Chris Engelhardt had this horse. They claimed the horse back. Now they dropped the horse here at Saratoga because that's what you have to do to win races here.
Of course, Saturday, it is Whitney Day, one of the special races here each and every year at Saratoga. One of the most important races in the older horse division. 91st running of this race as we take a look at the field in the morning line, and it is 2 New York breds taking center stage. Mind Your Biscuits, who's going to be stretching out, and Diversify, who ran them off their feet in the Grade 2 Suburban.
This Saturday, as the 91st running of the Whitney Stakes takes form, it could be another battle of Saratoga between the top 2 New York breds, Diversify and Mind Your Biscuits. Diversify is signed on as the 7-5 favorite in a surprising last-minute entry. Although this wasn't the original plan, his trainer Rick Violette can't ignore how he is thriving.
I originally didn't plan on running because I thought that we ran so fast and so hard in the Suburban that 4 weeks might be a little quick. But he's done terrifically, breezed like a freak on Sunday and came out of it well. So sometimes you're just supposed to run your horses when they're doing good.
2-time New York bred Horse of the Year, Mind Your Biscuits, has taken his talents abroad, winning the 2017 and 18 Dubai Golden Shaheen.
As Roy H. Mind Your Biscuits begins to fly. XY Jet, Roy H. Mind Your Biscuits down the outside. XY Jet, Mind Your Biscuits, flew, got him. Mind Your Biscuits.
But his biggest test this weekend will be the distance, his first time at 1 1/8 miles.
There's always the next race, the next race, the next race, and they just all happen to be between 6 furlongs and a mile. This race is the next race. It's 1 1/8 miles. It's here at Saratoga against a field that's not the toughest Whitney in the history, and we'll take a shot.
But the storyline does not end there. Throw in the 2017 Belmont Stakes winner, Taprit.
Seems like he's trained well since the Suburban. I thought he actually trained really well leading up to it, so we're hoping maybe, 3rd time off the layoff that this will be his best race.
Last year's Jim Dandy winner, Good Samaritan.
Good Samaritan has taken the lead and he's pulling away. Good Samaritan has won the Jim Dandy.
And the promising Backyard Heaven, who is hoping to bounce back off of a poor effort in his last start. This battle at Saratoga may just come down to the wire.
Got that there with that preview of the Whitney on Saturday. And guys, Diversify, he was sensational in that Suburban, and he's been very good here at Saratoga in his only appearance as well.
That Suburban where he made the lead, he set blistering fractions and kept going. He ran the whole field off of his feet that day. He's going to have to come back. He's going to run that kind of race again. You know, it's hard to do that twice in a row, and that's a big, big thing to ask of Diversify, and I think he could easily get company from Mind Your Biscuits, the other New York bred, who's coming off sprints.
Okay, let me ask you this question of being a trainer now. We know Diversify is the fastest horse in his field. He seems like he thrives a little bit more going faster than he does going slower. Do you employ the same tactics and just try to go 109 and try to run this field off their feet? Because I feel if Irad Ortiz Jr. tries to save something left, you're taking away his best weapon.
Well, I think Ira Ortiz knows the horse. He's ridden him so many times, so I think it's in his hands. I don't think there's any instructions given to the paddock.
Yeah.
Go ride your horse.
Yeah.
The original plan was the Woodward. This horse was doing so good, they said we're going to wheel him back even quicker. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Can he run back to what he showed us in the Grade 2 Suburban back at Belmont? What a Saturday that we have. By the way, we are on earlier on Fox Sports 2 tomorrow. We come on at 1:30 on Fox Sports 2. All the other networks who are on with us right now, we come on at 2:30 tomorrow afternoon. And just a stacked lineup. So there it is. Fox Sports 2 tomorrow. We begin at 1:30 Eastern Time until 5. And MSG Plus, Fox Sports Prime Ticket, and Altitude Sports. We're on at 2:30. So we look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning, or tomorrow afternoon, I should say, for a tremendous lineup of stakes action here on Whitney Day.
And it's a great card.
My favorite horse in action, too, at the end of the day. Ooh. Voodoo Song returning in the lore. Tom Durkin, if you've never been to the Hall of Fame and taken that tour, Tom Durkin leads tours most race days from 11 a.m. to 12. I haven't got a chance to do it with Tom Durkin yet. There would be no one better to take that tour with. For more information, you can go to racingmuseum.org. If you've not made that trip across the street from the racetrack, it's something you must do when you're out here at Saratoga Springs. We'll be right back.
Grade 1 winner Lee traveled the world competing against the best of his generation. A graded stakes winner on both dirt and turf, he set a new track record in the Grade 1 Don Handicap and retired with earnings of more than $2.3 million. Now his flashy first crop yearlings are turning heads with a striking resemblance to their internationally successful sire. The sky's the limit for this promising young stallion. Lee, standing at Claiborne Farm.
I think that is a very, very important organization, the chaplaincy, the racetrack chaplaincy.
Back on Saratoga Live, this happens each and every year out here at Saratoga. Jockeys versus trainers. It was last night at Saratoga Rec Center, and for some reason, the jockeys always seem to win this basketball game. They could flat out ball. They got it done again last night, all for a good cause for the racetrack chaplaincy. And Bernard King was helping coach up the riders for the win.
Well, I think that is a very, very important organization, the chaplaincy, the racetrack chaplaincy. You know, there's some really good causes that they support. And, you know, it's great to see a good crowd out here that's come out to support this.
So what the game does, it unites the backstretch community and the jocks and the owners and the trainers. And then the funding that's collected tonight lasts all year long at all three racetracks.
It's so important. Many of our programs depend on events like this. And we try to maintain our events as family-oriented, where the whole family can come out here and have a great time.
Well, for a great cause. And by the way, Manny Franco, MVP of the game last night. But Bernard King, man, could he score.
Yeah, he was a pretty good guy. He averaged 40 in a playoff series 1 year for the Knicks. Yeah, he was okay.
Back-to-back 50-point games.
Yeah,
he had a 60-point game against the Nets.
I encourage you to watch the documentary Bert and Ernie if you ever get a chance.
Incredible scorer in his day, the 1985 scoring champion, helping out the jockeys to that victory last night, all for a good cause. We still have our nightcap coming up on this muddy, sealed racetrack here, and a horse that we were expecting to see just the other day. Flat Tech Sell, the 3, lining up here in this spot. Scratched down in that race the other day. But right now, that's your favorite, and that is the 9 Regalian as we send it downstairs to Andy and Gabby.
It might be a situation where Mike Rapoli, the owner of Regalian, and he does this quite frequently, especially in Saratoga, wants to win a race, claims a horse for 40, and dumps him in for 20. Now, it's always a red flag, and I have no issue, Gabby, when they say, I'm not betting a short-priced horse on a drop-down like that. But at the end of the day, I trust him more than the others and just think he's way the horse to beat.
He definitely appears to be, Andy. And on top of that, we can see this performance here recently from this horse. And do you see, I mean, in this particular race, he got a good setup and a good pace flow in front of him. And don't you kind of think that he's going to get that again today?
You know, it appears between the 1-4 Freedoms, the 3 Flat Excel, there's enough pace that he should be stalking. And he's not slow. He can put himself in position. The question with him is whether, A, you're concerned about the racetrack. You don't really know. He has run a muddy sealed track. That was against much tougher competition. Yeah. And he ran actually credibly. If he shows up, he's the horse to beat. Mr. Fix-It, on the other hand, the 4-horse, is a very different situation. Linda Rice claimed this horse last time out from John Terranova, and Linda's a trainer you want when she's aggressive, when she moves him up. She claimed him. He was dreadful. Now, he likes a wet track. He's got that in his favor, but how can you play him off his last race?
Yeah, that definitely gives you a cause for a little bit of concern here. Although Linda Rice, as you said, she's got fantastic numbers off the claim, especially with her dirt sprinters. But this just seems, and not only that, yes, he takes to the surface. There's other speed types in here, and I don't even know if he's going to be alone on the lead.
Oh, he's not going to outrun Flat Excel and 4 Freedoms unless there's an issue at the gate. I agree. Tough to trust. Now, 4 Freedoms comes up from Gulfstream, and I thought he ran very well last time for Marcus Vitale. And actually, Marcus Vitale was here a few years ago, and he was 4 for 14 with his dirt runners. So he has won in New York, and particularly at Saratoga. His last race was okay. He might have moved a little bit soon. He might have got a little leg weary. It's today's just 6.5 furlongs. Isn't he the other horse here?
He is. And he is who I kind of prefer in here, as we can see in his last race at Gulfstream Park. Man, this was a soupy track, and I actually think he's getting drier conditions today.
He's going to feel like he's running on a sandy beach when he gets out there as we head out to paddock for a paddock report from Maggie Wolfendale.
And he's come to the mountains to run on the beach here, Andy, up at Saratoga in regards to number 1. That is Four Freedoms, who I think arguably you could say that his best 2 races possibly have come on a wet track. So that's a feather in his cap. Furthermore, here in the paddock, I like what I see. You know, the conditions are tough for horses. They adjust down in South Florida, but it's hot down there. And a lot of times you do see horses kind of get that a little bit of relief from a little cooler, well, it's just a little cooler climate here up in Saratoga. But I'm liking what I'm seeing. It looks as though he is responding well to this ship up. Moving on to number 4, that is Mr. Fix-It. He's a horse that, going back to that March 30th effort, which was off the bench, in which he did win, he was really sharp that day. He was fresh, he was on his toes, and since then, this horse has yet to find that same energy level. He's very docile here once again. Now, I will say, looks as though he's put on maybe just a little more muscle mass overall, but still, I'm very dubious about his chances coming back on the drop for Linda Rice. But that leads us to our favorite in here, and he's not as dubious with this drop in class. The connections are more well known for doing this, and furthermore, he's actually a reclaim by Chris Englehart. So the fact that he went back in for this horse says that, well, there isn't that many issues, and we can deal with them if they are. He looks great here. He is much the horse to beat, in my opinion, Greg.
And the public seems to agree right now. Paul LaDuca 6-5 on Regalian.
Oh, it's my turn? Yeah, this one for Rapoli. Like I said, listen, to say claim the horse for 40, they drop the horse for 20. If they win the race, they get 24,000. So now you're out on your 44,000, what you claim the horse for. You may say a nice little wager right here at 6-5. You can make a little bit more money. That's how you turn over money in horse racing in small little chunks, and that could be the case here with the 9.
Yeah, not only that, so it's a claim back, like Maggie said. The trainer knows the horse and feels comfortable having him in his barn. If he didn't want him, he wouldn't have claimed him back.
So 6-5 on Regalian right now.
And Tom makes a good point. I'm sorry to cut you off. Tom, you make a good point because when you claimed him, he claimed him recent. It's not like he's laying him up. So he's obviously, you know, claiming him recent.
Right,
yeah, he took him right back. Yeah. It's not like he's like laying him up, you know, and something could be wrong with him.
I had him a couple of months ago, so knows this horse has talent. This horse was in the Jerome against Frisian Fire, who just freaked in the Dwyer back at Belmont.
Yeah, he did freak.
That was a race which Mendelssohn made his return, but it was Frisian Fire who turned a bunch of heads.
Frenzy Fire, right?
Sorry, Frenzy Fire, yeah, excuse me. Four Freedoms kicks off our post break. Jose Ortiz aboard for Marcus Vitale and has shown some speed from the inside.
He is a major player shipping up from Florida for a very sharp trainer.
Gio Lucky, Gary Gullo trainee, and Luis Saez aboard.
Took him a long time to break his maiden, finally got the job done last time out. Might serve as a confidence booster.
Flat XL, John Toscano Jr., another speedster here with Ricardo Santana Jr.
He's a contender based on his speed figure of his last race, but it's a little high relative to his other performances.
Linda Rice off the claim with a 4 Mr. Fix-It, and David Cohen rides.
Sped up and faded last time out, now drops off of that claim for Linda Rice. I think he's a little bit suspect here.
Can't we all get along the 6? 12th time out, finally put it together last start for Gary Contessa.
Another one who's coming off of a maiden score, but last time against strictly New York breds.
Regalian is the 9, again a reclaim from Chris Englehart, Irad Ortiz Jr.
If you are not concerned about the sharp drop off the claim, then you won't believe anyone's going to beat him.
And the 10, Bust the Bell for Randy Prasad and Abel Lizcano.
Another one still searching for that non-winners of 2 lifetime condition. Looks overmatched here.
That's your field for the nightcap coming up. When we are done here, head to the West Coast. Great racing action continues at Del Mar. Use your Naira Bets account to split 250,000 points without even hitting a ticket. Just bet a $10 base exacta in race 5 at Del Mar and split those 250,000 points. Head to NairaBets.com to place your bet. We're going to take a break in the action. We'll be back. The nightcap still to come. It's that horse right there, Regalian, for the Rapoli stable. The horse to beat. We'll be back.
Kentucky Derby winner Orb was the leading freshman sales sire of weanlings, yearlings, and 2-year-olds. On the track, his runners have scored on both dirt and turf, including stakes winners Autumn Warrior and Orvolution, stakes performer Scrapper, and TDN Rising Star Explorer. In the sales ring, his progeny continue to sell well beyond his stud fee, including the $1 million co-sale topper at Saratoga. Classic winner, classic pedigree, Orb, standing at Claiborne Farm.
You're watching Saratoga Live, and this is a look at the brand new area, all new exclusive private hospitality area, The Stretch. We are not allowed over there. But it looks like a lot of fun, I've heard.
So every Friday they have a beer garden down there. You can try a bunch of craft beers too. So there's lots to do.
You know some people in high places, Tom Amos. Can you get us in there?
No.
Okay. It's all right. We got a good view from where we are up here on the roof. But yeah, that is a beautiful area, and rumor has it too, they deliver food right to your seats.
That's nice.
How about that?
So is the warm-up on the 9, by the way, Paul. We were wondering about the 9 Regalia, our favorite. Jogging well, jogging sound, extending nicely. That's what you want to see when a horse is warming up.
Yeah, and especially this type of horse, right? You would think they're going to try. There is speed in this race, but they don't want to be too far back. I mean, he's going to get a good setup in here with like 3 or 4 horses. So, but they warmed him up pretty nice. And the other horse in here is the 1, 4 Freedoms, and they're going to have to go from the get.
They're going to have to go from the get, but they're going to have some company. I heard Andy talk about it downstairs. I think the 3 Flat Excel, as well as the 4 Mr. Fix-It, they're not only speed, I think they're one-dimensional. I think their best races come when they make the lead over an entire group. So those are the kind of horses that really get sent hard out of the gate. I look for a fast pace here.
And there is the 4. We're seeing the back of him right there, but he was coming out of a 40 claiming race. Showed some brief lick and then just completely checked out. So what do you make of the 4?
One thing to note if you're a handicapper in New York. If a horse has been off more than 30 days, he has to have at least 1 workout. That's required. So when you look at this horse, Mr. Fix-It, that ran back on June the 23rd, he's running today, August the 3rd. He needs to have at least 1 workout. Ordinarily, he'd work out more than that. He has the mandatory 1 workout, nothing else. I think that's a negative on the 4, Mr. Fix-It.
All right, 9-2 on the board right now. We're going to check in right now with Maggie Wolfendale for more on our even money favorite. Wow.
Yeah, and rightfully so. And as Tom said, when we came back from break, looking at number 9 Regalian here, Greg, he really was moving well out on the track. And immediately when they turned back around to go the right way to the backside, Irad Ortiz broke away from the pony, and he was just throwing his legs out there. Big, good gallop, feeling good. But also, when I look for horses over tracks like this, are they handling it well in their warm-up? And the answer was a resounding yes in regards to Regalian. Now, a horse that is a little bit bit interesting in here is number 3, Flat Excel. Now, he has had 3 tries over sloppy tracks, but those were all down at the fairgrounds going a route of ground. So I feel as though he is much more of a sprinting type. You look at him, he's on the smaller, handier side, so less distance is better for him. And furthermore, while they were conditional races, the non-2 life, they were against older horses. So he comes back in with his age group here again. We'll see. Sometimes it's apples and oranges. It's almost a lateral move, if you will. But I just thought he was a little interesting. We'll see. Obviously, as you guys were alluding to, he's going to have some company up front.
Yeah, no doubt. And part of that company is, as you mentioned, Tom, is going to be that inside horse, 4 Freedoms, the one.
Yeah, look, he needs to go, right? He's got that whole field outside of him. There's 6 horses outside of him. He's got to establish some position, more so than if he was in an outer post and could kind of lay off a little bit. So he's got the speed to go. I think Jose Ortiz tries to do just that with him. But, again, I don't think he goes by himself.
No, you're right. I mean, if Mr. Fix-It is the same Mr. Fix-It, I think he'll be able to go with him early. But, you know, this horse has had 2 good wet track surfaces. I think the wet surface will hold the one together a little bit longer than you might think.
And everyone's a little scared. Mr. Fix-It, the 4, coming off that terrible effort last time out. Second start of his career, he ran terrible as well. And look what he did when he came back on and off track. He aired. He won by more than 4 lengths.
Yeah, he did indeed. But that second start was a tough allowance race. This most recent race, he was the favorite in, and he just didn't run whatsoever.
So 5-1 on Mr. Fix-It. And again, likely going to have company up front as we look at the horse to beat. And these prizes keep getting lower and lower on this horse, down to 4-5 now.
Well, the more I keep thinking about it, if you really think the 9 can get there, the value in the race is the 6. Because if everybody's going to go to the front end and chase everybody, the 6 won last time, weak field. I get it. I don't think the horse can win the race, but definitely can swallow up some second and third in here. And if you want to play some tries and try to get a 14-1 shot, he's going to make up ground late on this field.
So we see the 9 here again, Tom, Regalian. Does it concern you at all as well? First of all, the price is very short. 4 starts on an off track, and he's never hit the board.
Well, I think it's about class. I really do. And I think Regalian's got the class. But I take Paul's point on the 6. Can't we get along? A lot of times a win can make a horse a little bit stronger, a little bit more competitive. And he has the figures to stand behind him to be competitive with this race.
There is the 6 stepping in, the Son of Violence for Gary Contessa. 4-length score. He really woke up in that last effort. It took him 12 starts to finally break through. But, yeah, sometimes that light bulb comes on for these horses. It's the nightcap from Saratoga, the 9, Regalian, the horse to beat. Let's send it up to Larry Colmus for the call.
Ready for the start. Just trying to straighten out Regalian. They're off. Regalian broke very well. Out for the early lead in company with Mr. Fix-It, 4 Freedoms and Geo Lucky as they head up the backstretch. And now it's going to be Mr. Fix-It and 4 Freedoms for the front. Regalian is just off of them. Then Flat Excel, Geo Lucky on the inside. 5 lengths back to Can't We All Get Along and Bust the Bell, who trailed the field early on. Up front, it is 4 Freedoms, the leader from Mr. Fix-It. A 21.44 opening quarter mile. There's a half mile to go. Regalian is in third, some 5 lengths off the lead, moving for the far turn. And then it's back to Flat Excel running along in 4th position, racing on the outside of Geo Lucky, who's on the rail. And the trailers are Can't We All Get Along and Bust the Bell. Still 4 Freedoms, Mr. Fix-It getting closer, Regalian looking strong to their outside, now coming up 3 wide. They're 5 lengths ahead of their foes after a 44.79 half mile. They're into the stretch, here's Regalian on the outside. 4 Freedoms fights on from the rail. Mr. Fix-It back into third between those 2. Geo Lucky is 4th on the inside. Can't We All Get Along is making up good ground late, but it's Regalian. Regalian in front. Opening up late, and Regalian and Gerard Ortiz are going to go on and win convincingly here. It's going to be 4 Freedoms, second best under the wire. Very close for third there between Can't We All Get Along and Mr. Fix-It in 1:17.45.
Heavy favorite gets the job done here in the nightcap. 3rd win today for Gerard Ortiz Jr., and he hustled this horse out of the gate.
No, he absolutely did. He broke very sharply, actually, Greg, but then they took him back off of the pace, sitting that very patient trip. We saw 4 Freedoms and Mr. Fix-It go at each other on the front end. And Andy, this horse was on the prowl the entire way.
No, he was. I mean, you could see it, especially when he broke that sharply. It's usually such a good sign. And Irad was just sitting on him, waiting to go home victorious. And a good effort by Four Freedoms. I mean, he was a distant second, but even at 6.5 furlongs, guys, 21:44 is pretty darn quick for the first quarter.
Yeah, I thought he hung in there nicely. The best horse just won on the drop here, and there were some great intentions here. It's 9-1, very tight, and I think the 6 did get up for third. We'll go back to the start, and there's the flyer that Andy was talking about, Tom. And now you're with that break, you're able to put yourself in a perfect position.
Yeah, when you take a horse that's not typically a speed horse, you see it break that sharp, and I know Andy was kind of saying it, but I'll just push on it some more. That is a sign that horse is ready to run.
Yeah.
Now he falls back into his spot. And don't think Irad Ortiz isn't licking his chops watching those two horses, the 1 and the 4, just beat each other up on the front end. And here he comes, past them with the greatest of ease.
And I'll tell you right now, Jose Ortiz has got to get sick and tired of this. This is his 3rd or 4th second place finish again. His brother got the best of him. He's racking up a lot of seconds. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. He's going to string together one of these days where he's going to win a ton of races, but he's just got a little seconditis right now.
Let's not forget, though, he did leave for a day, went across town on Haskell Day at Monmouth, won 4 stakes races.
Yeah, pretty good.
So he's doing just fine.
I haven't forgotten it.
Of course, Tom Amos was there on Haskell Day.
He flew over with us on the propeller plane. He went back on the jet.
Yeah, that's right.
And he did.
Champion 2-year-old Good Magic getting that win on Haskell Day, and we're going to see him here in the Travers on August 25th. Good job. Four Freedoms, and that's a horse that Jose Ortiz was aboard, 21-2, and able to hang around for second. Good performance there to run second. But Chris Engelhardt and Regalian. There's Chris heading to the winner's circle here in the nightcap on this Friday at Saratoga.
Yeah, listen, it's a heady claim. You want to get in the winner's circle at Saratoga, you need to be aggressive with your drops. They claim the horse back for 40. They drop for 20, I get, but they still get out on this, Tom.
Yeah,
they
they're
make
not
a little bit
leaving
of
this
money.
one home.
No.
There's somebody claimed this horse for sure.
Yeah.
And look, because it was just too obvious everything that they did. Trainers just jump all over that.
So enjoy it here because it sounds like this one's not going to be in the barn too much longer.
Like he'll cool out for 30 minutes and then it'll be adios.
4-5 in the end. 3-win day for that rider right there, and he is in sole possession of the lead. Irad Ortiz Jr. with a big Friday afternoon.
Yeah, he's riding well. You know, and let's give a little bit of love to the sire Fast Bullet who passed away. And I would say he has maybe under 20 foals that are even racing on the racetrack, if that. And this is the son of Fast Bullet, who passed away way too soon. I have a Pioneer of the Nile Mare, and Regalian will get the job done. That pick 4 is $69. The Naira Late pick 5, $518. That's all you need to know.
Not bad. Pays well again. Don't forget on Saturday, the Naira Bets Late pick 5. If you're the only winning ticket, guaranteed minimum of $500,000.
Guaranteed
in your account.
I'm playing it.
I am. Guaranteed we all are playing it. I got some bad news for you, though.
Let me have it.
We're not eligible for that $500,000.
Oh!
That's okay.
Jeez. Family members
we
too?
want to give it to somebody else.
Yeah, you're right.
But this is truly amazing. I mean, listen, when you get one horse over $10, you're still getting $550.
Not bad at all. Let's go downstairs to Maggie Wolfendale for more.
And here with winning trainer Chris Engelhardt and son Jeremiah having one on the card too. It's an Engelhardt day.
Yep, we had a good day today.
And it's always great because you guys have all your family here. Truly a family affair in the Engelhardt racing household.
Yeah, it really is. Most of my kids are involved. All of them were, so it's, a lot of families like that, but we all take part in it.
And you guys are always one of the nicest people in the game. But as far as Regalian here, owner Mike Rapoli, is this just him wanting to win races up here at Saratoga?
Lucky me. The guy just likes to win, That's the way I look at it, lucky me.
Yes, that is true, and a horse that you previously trained as well, so you had confidence going back in for him.
I really did, yeah.
And I had a lot of confidence on him today.
Yeah, I told my wife, this is one where second wasn't any better than the last, really. He had to win this one, so.
Well, job well done, and congratulations to you, the family, and all the connections.
Thanks a lot, Maggie.
All right, Greg, back to you. We'll sign off here with Regalian in the winner's circle.
Wins at 4-5. Favorite closes things out. Our Saratoga showdown. Where'd it go? Come back. There we go. We have a tie at the top. All 10 tying and are going to share those NyraBets points. You're playing for real prizes like a grand prize to next year's Belmont Stakes, a ticket package, and points in your account. You could get involved each and every day without risking any of your own money by going to Nyra.com/showdown. Irad Ortiz Jr., that's a hard day's work. 3 victories for now the meet's leading rider, trying to unseat his brother, Jose, who is the 2-time defending champ here.
Yeah, nothing gets old than to watch yourself succeed, as Irad watching his own little ride. And I was guilty of that whenever I had a good day. Turn on SportsCenter, and hopefully I'd be on as well. So, but Irad, yeah, he's really surged. Luis Saez having a tremendous meet as well.
You know, Jose Ortiz, he's our reigning Eclipse Award-winning rider as well. Irad's younger brother. He was asked about this slow start. He just kind of chuckled. He's not that worried about it. He gets hot, and he's going to win in bunches. It's going to happen for him.
You ever talk to those guys? They're all about racing. I mean, they're so focused, so professional. They're a pleasure. When they walk in the paddock and they're on your horse, they're the ones you want.
Yeah, their IQ, he makes a great point, Tom. Like, you know, when you talk to them about the horses, they know every one of their horses. And you know how many horses they ride? That's really tough to do.
His days off, Jose, he would go to parks to ride on his days off. That's how much he wanted to just get better as a rider. Of course, tomorrow it is Whitney Day here at Saratoga. It's always one of the special days here at this meet, but an incredible lineup of stakes, including the Longines Test at Grade 1 as well, but that Whitney is going to be awfully fun.
Check it out. That is a card for the ages, and we get them a lot up here at Saratoga, but I love that card tomorrow. A lot of betting opportunity.
Yeah, you know why? Because you have a horse in Mind Your Biscuits. Can he get the distance? You have a horse in Diversify. Can he come back and be as dominant as he was last time? And sort of the also others that a lot of people aren't really talking about, but the undercard is tremendous.
So we're on at 1:30 to 5 on Fox Sports 2. Everybody else, you can catch us 2:30 to 5 Eastern on Whitney Day. And then at 5 o'clock, we turn things over to NBC Sports Network. Of course, that's still to come, the big prize later in the meet with the Travers. And whoever wins that will get that canoe painted in the winning colors. Tomorrow, though, it's all about the older horse division in the Whitney. By the way, Regalian was claimed going to the Tom Morley barn. Interesting.
He wasn't the only one in. I'm sure they
how
had to shake it out.
How about Engelhardt taking the second place finish here?
Yeah, 4 Freedoms going to the trainer just won the race. Raging Bull, the winner of the Grade 2 Hall of Fame. Just 4 career starts and now 3 victories. His trainer, Chad Brown, thinks he could be even better on a firm turf course and maybe even better going longer. We've only started to see how much talent this young runner has. We're going to hear more from him to come. We will see you tomorrow again, 1:30 on Fox Sports 2, 2:30 everywhere else. We'll see you on Whitney Day.